This shirt don't fit like it used to, and I need another notch on my
Well,
belt.
welcome back.
If you're looking for a six-pack, muscled up.
Troy, good to have you back. How you doing this week?
Doing good, man. Doing good. How are you doing? I mean, it was. I was a little on edge Monday night. You know, I was a little nervous.
Yeah.
I know we have the most overrated player in the league, so I didn't know that we'd pull that one out, but
You know,
we did.
Shakir is just an overrated wide receiver. That's very great game.
What a sneaky stud that guy is, for real.
Right?
Oh my gosh, that guy is something to watch. Like
And,
every play, he is all out. Every play.
And the guy's clutch. I mean, he's not making the mistakes in those big moments, so it's good to see that for a guy trying to name for himself.
I think I seen something that since they started tracking drops, he is like tied for the record right now for most targets in a row being caught.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
Yeah, something like that, like 75 or something like that, like 75 straight. Yeah, that's insane.
that is insane. But what's also insane is the game you predicted would be a blowout in the other direction. Your Michigan Wolverines.
I didn't see it. I guess
Michigan Wolverines beat USC in the Big House and breathed new life into the season, perhaps?
I mean, maybe. The defense came to play, and now they did start kind of swapping scores towards the end there. But the defense was clutch in that first half, and Kalel Mullings, oh my gosh, that guy! Like, if I'm not mistaken, I think they recruited him as a linebacker, and now he's turning into the stud running back. Like, unbelievable. That guy's something else. Like, I thought Donovan Edwards was going to be the workhorse, the man. I thought you might even see that guy possibly in the Heisman watch, but Kalel Mullings is turning out to be the better back there, unbelievably. So,
when you run that hard, it helps. I mean,
it's
something
for sure.
Make the guys think twice before they hit you. It definitely helps you get downfield a little better.
Yeah, that guy's something else, man. He's a powerful runner and he's quick. And I don't know what's going to happen here now. They're going into, or I guess, is Minnesota coming to the Big House, or are they going there? I think Minnesota's coming to them.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I mean, I gotta say right now, though, is that if Michigan's really be ranked 12th right now, they're also now overrated again. So who knows what that's going to mean for them?
Yeah, I think that's. I don't think they're 12. I don't think they're 12. I think they're a top 20, but I don't think they're 12.
Right. Minnesota, then at Washington, at Illinois, then at home against Michigan State. I mean, it wouldn't be crazy for them to go 2-2 in these next four. They can also win all four. It's kind of the freaking nature of what Michigan's playing like this year.
Yeah, 100%. I just don't trust the quarterback play at all, and that really worries me. I mean, Orgy did okay this week, but it's. I don't know. They like I said this weeks ago. Like they didn't have a succession plan in place for when McCarthy moved on, and it's really showing now. Orgy was always kind of just the gadget guy. They brought him in to do fun stuff, and I think now with a full game week of prep for him and tape on him and what he's going to do and what his tendencies are and such, it's going to be tougher for him to kind of sneak through again. So we'll see. I think they will end up beating Minnesota, but I don't see them, doing anything here. I don't think they're going to sneak into the playoff. I would expect this is the year that Ohio State finally gets back at them.
Right.
But who knows? That might be Michigan's, Super Bowl at the end of the year here. That might be their big game. And hey, let's just dash the hearts of those Buckeyes one more time,
Well, 100%. I think Penn State can get by them as well. You really could be a spot where if you have Ohio State hovering in that 8 to 10 range, it could be enough to start threatening their hopes for the playoffs this year too.
Yeah, possibly. I don't know. I mean, where do they do they play Penn State this year? Are you talking about Michigan, Penn State? Do they play this year? For some reason, I thought. Oh, Ohio State. Okay. Yeah, I was going to say I don't think Michigan plays Penn State this year. So.
Yeah, I mean, Penn State's got Ohio State first week in November. Now that's going to be in Pennsylvania. Sorry, at State College. So that's granted they have a way of losing those white night games. So who knows? But fun to watch nonetheless.
Yeah,
Speaking of fun to watch, Oklahoma has been the butt of a lot of jokes this week. I think my favorite meme was actually showing The Office when Michael has them over to his apartment, and they had a tiny little TV on the wall, and they flashed to Oklahoma's jumbotron,
right.
their stadium, with the comments, "Where's the rest of it?" With same energy. I mean, like that in the stadium itself, compared to Neyland Stadium, like just made everything Oklahoma just look tiny. And then on top of that, Tennessee rolls in, proving me wrong. Yep. They are with 10-point win on the road.
Yep.
So it's time for me to eat some crow there and to acknowledge Tennessee might actually be good.
Did I see, if I was looking at the rankings, and I don't have them here in front of me, so this is just going off of what I remember seeing when they came out, 5 of the top 6 are SEC? Is that right?
Yeah, it's going to be that way until we get an SEC gameplay. I mean, looking at the preseason ranking as well, I mean, it's kind of the natural progression. I think that there's no way. You have Georgia playing Alabama soon. That's going to hurt one of them.
Yep. Well, this week. They play this week, right?
Yeah, they play this weekend. So that game's going to be a big one. You get Tennessee or Ole Miss playing. Those games are all going to shake themselves out. I think Ole Miss is legit, by the way. It's kind of another.
I do too. I like them a lot, actually. Yeah.
But what they got to watch right now is there's a lot of Florida chatter talking about wanting to back the Brinks trucks up to Lane Kiffin, trying to get him to come down and save Gainesville. But I think he's got a good thing going there in Oxford. It would be a interesting move to say the least. But I guess passing to another game here right now, Vanderbilt staying in the SEC with one of those overranked SEC teams, went to Columbia, Missouri, and gave them a fight. 30-27 in double overtime. The final, Missouri squeaks it out. But I forgot if it was Charles or who said last week, but I mean, Vandy was there to play. They really were looking like world beaters there for a bit. I thought they were actually going to pull this one out, but just slipped away there in double overtime.
Yeah, I'm not sold on Missouri 100%. They'll slip down here towards the end. I think by the end of the season, you're going to see them probably down in the late teens. That would be my guess.
Yeah, I mean, Missouri's a nice team, but so I think that the first upset could come as really as next weekend. They'll be going to College Station. I don't think A&M is that good either. Mm-hmm. But going to College Station is still a tough match for anybody.
Yep.
But then they go to Massachusetts, but then they're at home to Auburn, at Alabama, against Oklahoma, at South Carolina, at Mississippi State, versus Arkansas. I mean, the schedule is not that tough.
Yeah, it's not It's not horrible.
But I still think that you've got 2 losses in there, namely in Alabama and Oklahoma.
Yep. And possibly this weekend, like you said.
Yeah, and going into the A&M match as well. It's if Vanderbilt can do that to them, Auburn's going to be a tougher game for them. At South Carolina, Beamer's and blow it again.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just interesting pieces there for looking at their schedule here to come. And
they're just lucky.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say they're just lucky they don't have James Madison on their schedule.
In that case, so we talked about it last week a little bit.
a 70 burger,
and almost all that scored in the first half and took the foot off the gas there a little bit. But here comes Aaron. Aaron will be back. How you doing?
Aaron's got to turn his camera on though. There he is. My gosh. I didn't know who that was there first. I was getting worried. I thought,
hey.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought maybe it might be Chester Markle, but
so
that dude has some stories. Let me tell you, he has some stories.
I had never heard of him until you guys sent that message today in the group chat. That's awesome.
I
was in a meeting.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Ben.
No, you go. I want to hear you, Aaron.
I want your stuff in the neighborhood, but go ahead, Aaron.
Well, no, I was in gathering with him a while back, and that dude, yeah, so, that guy lived a wild life. I mean, if you listen to Pat McAfee and you think, wow, that's not a typical kicker. Like that guy has some stories. And that's you like Chester Markle takes it to a whole new level. Because my wife has said before, talk about Pat McAfee. She's like, I can't believe that guy was a kicker, and I'm like, yeah, you're right. I mean, his kickers usually or punters usually seem boring or whatever. Even punters, kickers, they all kind of seem boring. Chester Markle will tell you about, some stories that you're like, I can't believe you're still alive, dude. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, and a lot of it, some of it, don't get me wrong, some of it's very sad because that guy had a lot of addictions. He had drug addictions. He had, he was addicted to alcohol. He was messed up in a lot of ways. And when he left the NFL, he was homeless for a while. He lived out in his truck. Like, I mean, it's crazy, but that guy can talk, and it's you just sit back and you listen because whether it's the stories about when he was with the Packers and how how they were or whatever, or just personal stories, you're like, holy, yeah, it's entertaining.
I didn't mean to take a big left turn there, but it was, yeah, that was pretty. Where did he come from? Was he a draft pick? How did they find him? Like, where's his background?
Well, he was the first and only kicker to ever win Rookie of the Year, wasn't he? So that's what the
yeah.
I saw that. I saw that. Yeah. But
yeah, I don't remember where he played his college ball, but I mean, he was drafted. What?
He was from Poland, Hillsdale College.
Right. That's right.
So yeah, he played for the Packers from 72 to 1980. Went to the Oilers and finished his career there in 80. But yeah, 1972 NFC Rookie of the Year, 2 All-Pro selections, 2 Pro Bowls.
So was he a draft pick?
He was the second round pick 34 overall.
Wow.
Yeah.
Eat that, Janikowski.
Crazy. Yeah, no kidding.
So it's anyway, back to college though. While we're talking,
go back to college ball here.
BYU thumped Kansas State. I mentioned Kansas State last year being a little bit overranked, but BYU put a hurting on them in Provo. BYU can make that name for themselves, right? And entering the Big 12 here, and that's one heck of a way to introduce yourself to the conference. 38-9 against previously 13th ranked Kansas State. So good for the Cougs there, doing Coug things, I guess. But I guess beyond that, the other one I want to talk about is going to be a little more towards Troy here, but Buffalo pulling off as well against a giant killer in Northern Illinois who got that win against Notre Dame a few weeks ago, and here is Buffalo beating them. So
when I saw Northern Illinois upset Notre Dame, I'm like, well, they're running away with the MAC this year. There's no way they don't.
Right.
And if I'm not mistaken, I get score updates on Buffalo. I couldn't get the game itself to watch it. But I think they were down 14 pretty late in that game, weren't they? Or do you?
I didn't watch either, honestly.
Okay.
Just kind of going off the box scores on that one, which was a little surprised, to say the least. That was an interesting one there.
Okay, let me see. 14-3 at halftime is what it was. That's what I must have been seeing. Yep. So, yeah, 14-3, I'm thinking, okay, well, yeah, Northern Illinois is going to win this game. Because Buffalo doesn't have much firepower, to be honest with you. But their defense seemed to play pretty well, except when they played Missouri that one week.
Yeah.
I think that 70 to Missouri, didn't they? Wasn't it? It was a lot, wasn't it?
It was a lot.
Yeah.
Skipping ahead here a little bit, Kansas, we call this going to be a big game, but weather tried to ruin this one time and time again. I think from kickoff to actually finishing that game was longer than most people work in a day. I think it was like a 9-hour, 10-hour day for people who stayed at the game. Just insane. But honestly, in my opinion, it helped West Virginia frankly pull it out. They were in trouble there early in that game. Kansas was beaten up a little bit, and then West Virginia came storming back to take that win there as well. And honestly, the rest of the slate was, for me, fairly ho hum.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot that was really getting me all that excited. I mean, Toledo, another one who went down to Mississippi State and just housed them, loses to Western Kentucky. But so we're talking about matching here in the middle of the conversation. That's a pretty indicator we had a slower week in college football.
Hey, obviously, you follow college a lot closer than I do. So one of the teams that kind of caught my eye a few years ago was Coastal Carolina when they started going on their run, and now they seem to be not good again. Like, did they lose their coach? Like, what happened there? Like, how did they just?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Grayson McCall was their quarterback as well. He just transferred out this past year. You also had Jamie Caldwell was the coach there. And so he where did he go to again? I'm gonna dang it. Jim I don't know who was it. Anyway, I'll get up here in a second. But
Okay.
Starting to get my own head here a little bit. But yeah, Coastal Carolina though they're actually not in a bad spot this year. They got housed by Virginia this past week.
Yeah.
But they came into that game, winning 3 straight. So I mean, they beat Jacksonville State pretty well. They beat William & Mary and Temple. Again, all games they should be winning. But Coastal's still going to be a team in the Sun Belt that can still do some things. I mean, Virginia played a good game. So I can get that pulled up here now.
Now, were they in the Sun Belt? Were they in the Sun Belt when they made their run a couple years ago, though? Or did they change? They were. Okay. See, I had never really heard of them, and they were never really on my map at all. I never really seen them before. And then a couple years ago, they went on that run, and correct me if I'm wrong. That's where Isaiah Likely's from, right? And that who they got him from?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, like, I'm just really surprised that they seem to have something building there, and then all of a sudden they're just that quickly they seem to have lost relevancy. And I mean, like you said, they started off 3-0. All games they should have won, more than likely. I mean, Temple maybe was a tougher game.
Yes. Yeah, so this is Tim Beck's second year there, by the way. So Jamie Caldwell was there. He's now at Liberty.
Okay.
So that was that move. But Tim Beck is the head coach there now. But yeah, Chadwell, not Caldwell. Why am I saying Caldwell? Jamie Chadwell, who was 61 this year. I can't read this stupid thing. But anyway. He did a lot of good things there. Before that, they had Joe Moglia, who had a 71.8% win percentage. Always there too. So, I mean, Coastal's been doing some things there. Kind of a neat little area in the country. If you go that kind of
it's right down near Myrtle, right?
Yeah, it's right next to Myrtle.
Yeah.
So, good baseball school too. By the way, they run to the College World Series not that long ago.
That's what I had always knew them from. I knew they always had a good baseball program. But then when they made that run in football, I'm like, maybe kids want to go down to their Carolinas there for a little bit, and maybe not quite ready for SEC ball, but somewhere to kind of get their name known in that SEC area.
Well, absolutely. And I say you're in South Carolina, North Carolina border. It's definitely a good area, and you got good weather. It's a destination. Your folks will want to visit you. But yeah,
definitely.
Not to advertise Coastal too much, but check it out. It's pretty neat.
Interesting. Okay. Well, yeah, I didn't mean to off track us there, but that just kind of blew me away a little bit. I just I don't know.
We're here for sidetracking our lives. We just hear
they kind of, I don't know if that was the COVID year when they made a run. Was that right? Or
it's when the run started.
Okay.
2022 is when Chadwell left. So yeah, I've been at 21, 22 seasons.
Gotcha. I was just pulling for them that year because this little school out of nowhere, and they started just slowly working their way up the rankings. And I don't know how high they got that year, but they got probably close to top 10, if not top 10, right?
They were up there. I couldn't tell you for sure, but they had a really nice run. That's also, you look at Sun Belt in general. I mean, Appalachian State, Troy. There's some good schools to look at in the Sun Belt that put out some really good NFL talent. Marshall. But I mean, overall, I look at this and Sun Belt to me, like baseball is Well, it's top class. I mean, SEC obviously rules baseball, but if you want some good ESPN plus value, watch some Sun Belt baseball. It's well worth the time.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's a very good baseball conference for sure. I'm not sure. I see a comment here on Facebook, Ben. Is this regarding Deion Sanders? Is that who they're talking about here? I'm kind of confused by the question.
I think they're talking about Shedeur.
Yeah, I think so too. So
okay.
So here's my take with Shedeur. I think that you're in a spot right now where you have to deal with, number one, Coach Prime. The Mannings were hard to deal with. Do you really want to deal with Prime right now and pick manipulation? I think that if I'm an NFL front office, I'm looking at this and saying that this is going to be a distraction.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen what happens with Johnny Manziel, with other guys that come with these profiles. Even be watching Caleb Williams closely, I think, the whole process. I think Sanders falls to day two, honestly. I think it's going to be that someone's going to take a chance. Yeah.
Wow.
And I look at this from walking off the field before your team's game's done. Those things are going to add up here a little bit. The guy is talented. He has a skill set, but he's so raw that I don't think any GM with it in the right mind is not taking that guy in the first round and risking their jobs because he's not going to be ready to play. Not quickly. This would be like a Michael Penix situation.
Do you feel like somebody could sneak into the back of the first round, much like Baltimore did with Lamar, just so you have that fifth-year option on him then?
It's very possible. I think that if you have a position where you're in, like with Lamar, like with Mahomes, like with Jordan Love, a position where like Michael Penix, you can bring him in, teach him how to be a pro, get some polish on him.
Yep.
Then look at maybe year 3 trying to start him. If you have the patience and you can afford that, that's the model I think would be better fit for him.
Yeah.
But look at like a Seattle maybe. I mean, if they're looking at what if Sam Howell or Geno Smith kind of buying some time, that could be a transition that way. But Shedeur to me is a very high risk prospect across the board. There's too much baggage, and it's not all Gucci.
Well,
yeah.
Let's be honest though too. Isn't with him wasn't and maybe it's been debunked or something, and it was just a rumor that I heard. But was it this off season that there were some rumblings that he was going to be like another John Elway or Eli Manning, where
there was something.
Deion was kind of talking about, these are the teams that we want Shedeur to go to and stuff. Again, that's what I heard. Now, whether or not it's complete BS that somebody just started because they don't like Deion, I can see that too. But
wasn't it Dallas?
That's another thing.
It was Dallas, San Francisco, and Washington or something like that, wasn't it?
It was. Like I said, I thought that was something that a rumor that had started that he was going to try to. Well, I mean, I think it was around the same time that what's his name, Bronny James was drafted, and everyone was like, Deion started supposedly talking about that for Shedeur or whatever. Yeah, I mean, whether or not that's true, I will say this: I know Shedeur is, or Deion is a very kind of a powder keg. I mean, just that whole show in Colorado is, either you love it or you hate it. I mean, a few people might be just kind of meh about it, but most people have a very strong opinion one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would imagine that would be something that you have to kind of take into effect. Do you want that sideshow, whether it's fair or not? I mean, I don't have a problem personally with Deion. But I can see where, some people, that's just not their jam. And they don't like the flamboyant, confident, I'm not even the race issue. I just, that kind of, what's funny is I was listening today to, I don't know if you guys ever listened to the Move the Sticks podcast. It's with, Ben, Troy, if you have a chance, if you enjoy the NFL, it's usually NFL talk. And it's with Daniel Jeremiah and Bucky Brooks. And today they had on Joel Klatt, who's he's one of the Fox experts on Fox Sports for college football, and they were talking about, and they were laughing about it. But apparently, and Ben, since you're the one that follows college football more than Troy and I do, they were talking about the new head coach for Indiana, the Indiana Hoosiers. And apparently this guy, and I forget his name, but this guy came in this offseason, and it sounds like he almost did kind of a Dan Campbell kind of, not a bite your kneecaps kind of thing, but it was a we're going to beat Ohio State, and and it was all about attitude, and he's just going on and on and on. And Joel Klatt was like, everybody's giving Deion crap, but this guy said some of the craziest things ever. Like, how in the hell do you think Indiana University is going to go out and beat Ohio State? And yet this guy, like, just some of the stuff he was saying was so outlandish, not controversial necessarily, just like crazy. Like, dude, are you on crack right now? I mean, what are you thinking? And no one said a thing. Like, I never heard about this guy until I listened to this podcast. So it was interesting that, this guy can say something and nobody even makes a peep. But Deion either does say something or it's rumored that he says something, and it blows up. I think, I don't know, you guys probably talked about this before I came on. That was one of the more interesting games, this weekend was, and I didn't, unfortunately, we watched the first half. My wife and I were watching it, and then can't remember if we went to bed or watched a family movie or what, but of course missed the end, which apparently was, the most exciting part, of course. And I mean, I got to give the guy credit. He, whether you like him or not, he took a team that had one win and the previous year, and they were getting beat by an average of 29 points a game. I mean, and they were talking about that today too on the podcast. Klatt was saying, he goes, this team was the worst team in all of Power 5 football, and it wasn't even close when Deion took over. Now, granted, were they world beaters last year? No, but they won more games than they did the year before, and they were at least selling tickets. So you got to give the guy credit. He knows how to sell tickets. He knows how to put butts in seats, and maybe he's starting to turn this thing around. So I guess that, and again, that's way off topic from the question about Shedeur, but it's just it's interesting the kind of firestorm that Deion can create even without doing anything. Yeah.
I think the problem that we go to, and just to kind of follow through with this one a little bit, is with Prime, you're dealing with, I'll call it Jake Paul energy at this point. Because, I mean, Deion has the credibility from being a great player. Jake Paul from YouTube, your energy to look at here. And it's just kind of that spot of two guys who know how to flap their gums and get attention. Yeah. And both are talented men in their own rights. They're good at some things that they want to do. But where I get concerned is when you see this stuff trying to influence and being the ultimate horrible player's parent, essentially. Like, you can't baby your boys all the way through forever. And I saw the comment too about Coach Stan trying to follow son. But look, Shedeur's got to be a man at some point to stand on his own 2 feet.
Yeah.
The reality is, Travis Hunter is the best player on that team.
Yep.
Hands down, no question. Colorado's still not a good team. They're going to get housed in Big 12 play. That's going to happen this year. Just like last year, they got into the Pac-12 and they got destroyed. But, Aaron, I think your points are well met, though. Curt Cignetti is the coach for Indiana, by the way. He came from James Madison, 111-1 there last year. So the guy who came up did what nobody has done in their first year of being a 1A program, and basically like bullied their way into being able to play in a bowl game because enough teams didn't have the wins required otherwise to break the rules to let them play in a bowl game. So he's used to beating the odds and beating the standard. So that's where I'm not saying that he's going to beat Ohio State this year, but I'll say right now that Indiana beats Ohio State in the next 4 years. I wouldn't be surprised. It's going to happen at some point. Ohio State's good for that dumb loss. I mean, the whole Big Ten is. We're all good for that dumb loss. Whether it's Michigan losing a game to a Michigan State team one year, Wisconsin losing to a Minnesota or Iowa, and it's just or Illinois or Northwestern or whoever's going to be. Those games happen. So I don't know. I'm not going to say he can't. I think he's a talented enough coach. And again, the Dan Campbell energy that we're going to get here, I'm here for it. I'll watch it. I won't even cheer against him all the time. But it has to be Dan Campbell energy, which is a lot more we than the Deion energy, which is a lot more me, in my personal opinion, listening to it.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I would agree with that.
But that being said, guys, got some good games this weekend I want to touch on real quick. Kentucky goes to Ole Miss, and Kentucky's just kind of been down in the luck this year. They can't hardly buy a call if they wanted to. Just kind of find ways to lose games. Again, Stoops is a good coach, really good coach. And Kentucky's not a bad squad. They're just kind of snake bit right now. I guess if I'm looking at Ole Miss right now, this is kind of one of those games you might almost, dare I use the cliche, trap game a little bit. You have Kentucky, then South Carolina, then you kind of get into you have LSU, Oklahoma, and they finally get to Georgia early November. But this Kentucky game kind of feels like it's at home. If they're not careful when they start looking past this thing, I guess I'll say this is where I usually would see Ole Miss give up that spread, but still come out with a win.
Yeah, I'm right with you, Ben. Yep. Yeah, I'm right with you. I think the same thing too. I don't think Ole Miss is going to overlook them, but I think Kentucky is more talented than what their record is showing right now. Yeah, I don't like that 17.5. I think Ole Miss is a darn good team. I think they're going to be in there at the end. But yeah, I'll take that 17.5 from Kentucky here, and Kentucky's going to give them a fight. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this is a one-score game, to be honest, but I don't really think Ole Miss is going to overlook them just because of how good of a fight Kentucky just gave Georgia not that long ago. So
right. And I'm going to go back to your Michigan Wolverines here for a second, Troy.
Okay.
So one of the weirdest lines in college football I've ever seen here. You have a 9.5-point line for Michigan with a 35.5 over under. I mean,
so what does that? That means Vegas sees it going what, like 28, 18, something like that. Yeah, 28-18.
So yeah. Not even.
No, not even. Yeah. 8. Oh my gosh.
10 to 21 ish, 10 to 24.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
But yeah,
25-11. There we go.
It's
take the over 25-11.
Goodness. That spell blood me on the hot seat. I don't know what it does, but mentioned earlier in the show, the number 12 ranking in Michigan is overrated. But
yeah, I think that's a little too high. I'll agree, even as a Michigan fan. Yeah, I mean, they pulled one out against USC last week. But if I'm not mistaken, didn't USC just come off on a real emotional victory the week before that?
They had a big game. I forgot they played though.
Okay.
They got a big game this week, by the way.
Okay. Yeah. How you feeling about that, Wisconsinites?
Oy. What's the spread on that one, Ben? What's the spread?
I'll go back here a second. So USC had Utah State the week before. We beat them 48-0. So USC was not quite, but week 1 they had LSU. That's what it was. So LSU was week 1 for USC.
Yeah. Yep.
But the line for the Wisconsin game, your CBS 2:30 game, eat your heart out, SEC. 50.5 in favor of USC. I'll tell you what.
I'm taking that spread. I'm taking USC in the points.
See, I'll take those points for this Badgers team any day. If the Badgers cover, I'm not worried about it. I'm not saying that they're going to win the game, but I'm saying I'll take those points. Wisconsin's not going to get beat by 16 by this USC team. They're not Alabama. So
yeah, but they could be they could be coming up. It could be an emotional thing on the other, the other way around, that they're pissed that they just lost to Michigan in the Big House. Like, they were so close to winning in the Big House, and now they could. I don't know. I have very little. I hate to say it like this. I have very little faith in this team, in this Badgers team. I just, I thought they would at least keep it close with Alabama. I didn't think they would win, obviously, against Alabama. But I'm like, you're at home. It's the first time in like however many decades that you played these guys, and you have Fox there, or was it Fox or ESPN, whoever it was that was there, all the hoopla, and you just crap your pants right there. I mean, it didn't help that Van Dyke went down right away early with but I'm not really sure how much more he would have helped. They are, and I think we talked about the last time I was on the show, or I think I brought it up, that I feel like this team, and I heard it talk to actually to go back real quick to the Michigan USC game last week. Joel Klatt again was saying on the podcast today, was talking about how he felt like Michigan spent the first few games of this season trying to figure out their identity and thinking that they were a passing team. And when they realized, maybe we should just go back to what's made us great the last few years, which is dominating on the line and just pounding the ball and focusing more on that. That's who we are. And that's
I don't know what would have gave them the impression that they were a passing team, because they didn't have a quarterback.
Yeah, and I think, yeah, well, no, true. And I think Klatt was kind of referring, you have the changing of the guard with coaches, is more trying to come in maybe and change things around a little bit. Okay, or, understood. and maybe he just realized that, hey, the way that we've been doing it the last few years with Harbaugh, is maybe the way we need to go. And I feel like the Badgers, their identity has always been big old linemen, big running backs. And now you bring in Longo and this air raid and all this. It's like, why? I don't really know why you try to reinvent the wheel.
So I'm going to switch here for a little bit. What I saw in that game, Wisconsin, and this is a lot, but it was 5 plays in that game that changed really what happens for the outcome. The Badgers were playing with Alabama in the first half in spite of Van Dyke going down. But they gave Alabama 20 seconds in the first half, and boom, another touchdown.
Yeah.
Badgers drive in the second half, trying to get some points back, fumble, gone. Those pieces, Van Dyke getting hurt didn't matter. Looking at Locke in that pocket or what Van Dyke was doing to start that game, it did change how that game was played. So I'm not saying Wisconsin's Alabama. We are not Alabama. But if I'm Barry Alvarez, if I'm Luke Fickell, I've got to look in the mirror and say, Phil Longo was the wrong hire. Get our heads out of our butt and go get someone out of that Alabama tree. Because that Alabama offense is what our offense should look like. Give me that hybrid, not air raid, but a team that's still going to run the ball well, be known for running the ball well, but be able to pass when they have to get wide receivers and utilize wide receivers, which Luke Fickell will do. He's shown this. He'll go out and get guys in the transfer portal. He'll get guys in. So if you can get a competent quarterback consistently, keep your run game, keep that mauling O-line. The first time I remember in my life seeing Wisconsin in Camp Randall getting absolutely bullied in the trenches all game.
Mm-hmm.
Both sides. And that's what we pride ourselves on.
Yep.
I mean, I joke around a lot, but you got guys like myself running around. We could barely even get a chance to try and play college ball if we want to in Division III. And these guys are getting the best of us in Wisconsin every year. Anyway, all that said, Wisconsin, I would take Wisconsin with the points. I think you got a pretty good bet there. But Aaron and I'll disagree on that one here a little bit. But going on the same time frame, Notre Dame, Louisville.
Yeah.
Watch this game.
Yep.
I don't care how casual the college football game fan you are, Louisville's legit.
Yep.
Notre Dame's taking another L here.
I agree.
I hope so.
Louisville, to me, is they're streaking towards that possibly winning the ACC, possibly being in that a playoff team this year. I'm not saying they're winning the Natty, but Louisville's got a squad that can play, and it's definitely worth the watch there. And Notre Dame is going to be tested, if not destroyed. Notre Dame's 6.5-point favorites.
Yeah, I don't see how. I mean,
what is
Vegas?
Idea.
Yeah, I mean that's one of those things where when you look at it, you're like, why? And then it makes you wonder, okay, what are we missing here? And should we take him with the points? You know, like it's just one of those weird ones. Like, why is it like that? Do they know something we don't? Is the fix in? You know, I don't know, but
well, they always seem to know something we don't know, Troy.
That's what I mean, and that makes you wonder. Like basically a touchdown spread there, and Louisville's the higher ranked team, but it's in Notre Dame. I get that. So what? The home field advantage is usually 3 points, right?
Yeah.
So you're saying on a neutral field that Notre Dame is still favored. Then why are they ranked lower?
Well, and the other part of this one too is, look, Louisville beat Austin Peay 62-0.
Yep.
Jacksonville State 49-14.
Yep.
Convincingly beat Georgia Tech 31-19. So this is the first we'll call a real test. Georgia Tech has been a nice surprise, playing decent this year, but this is the first real game for Louisville. So I think this is where the odds makers look at this and say, this is a prove it game.
Gotcha.
You want to be favorites? Prove it. And I think this is where they do. I think this is where Louisville gets the attention of more, and you stop and be disrespected by these lines. But again, not that I want to lose the farm or bring home the bacon, wink. But I think that's going to be something we can look at as being a really good opportunity to score some points here if you're a betting man. Another one I'd look at if you're a betting man is I'm going to call A&M here again, even though they're in College Station. Arkansas going to College Station, to me, has that upset written all over it. Arkansas is kind of one of those tough luck teams this year. With that loss they had to Oklahoma State, they beat Auburn at Auburn. They beat UAB. They housed Arkansas Pine Bluff, and A&M has not impressed me. I mean, they have not impressed me at all. And I'm going to tell you right now, I think that Arkansas, again, I'm picking dogs here. Arkansas is a dog I'm looking at very closely. 4-point underdogs going to College Station. That's going to be a good game. And I think that there's just, I don't know, call it a hunch, call it whatever, but I'll take that hunch to the bank if I need to, because that's going to be a good one on ESPN.
This is one of those weird ones where I think the home field advantage is going to be enough to get A&M through this. But I'll take A&M to win. But even though that's only 4 points, I'm going to take Arkansas to cover there. I think it's going to be like a field goal game.
No, that's very fair. Now back to your boy Prime.
Yeah.
Prime is going to go to the most magical place on earth, Orlando, play that UCF team, and it's going to be I'm pulling Adam here for a second. You're not that good moment for Colorado business.
Behind the woodshed.
Again, you got the gold and black game here, I guess. You can call it that, I suppose. But either way, it should be aesthetically pleasing. But UCF, in my opinion, is in the house. And Vegas seems to agree. 14.5-point favorites with a 64.5-point over on that game. So that says fireworks.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that's crazy. That's a crazy line. Oof.
The other interesting one for me here is TCU at Kansas. Been talking about Kansas the last few weeks. Kind of wait for them to wake up. They're 1-3. Their only win is against Lindenwood, but they lost at Illinois, which called out as being a tough game. Lost that weird one at West Virginia. And then UNLV free their quarterback quitting due to NIL money. Kansas, to me, is a team that their schedule opens up here a little bit. And I think they can kind of reclaim their season as they move forward. But it has to start here against TCU. But on the other side of this one, TCU, they're 2-2. They're also in a spot right now where Sonny Dykes got to get a team riding the ship here a little bit, or he's going to start seeing his name on that hot seat. So, big game for Lance Leipold and the Jayhawks. Honestly, usually I cheer for TCU, but I also have a hard time cheering against Lance Leipold. So, kind of a fun matchup for a lot of sub-reasons there, but should be entertaining nonetheless. And kind of a early make it or break game for both squads seasons this year.
Yeah, it should be a good one. It should be a real good one.
Now I've got a wish, and it's a wish and a prayer. I don't do this often, but I hope East Lansing can deliver some good news to me for a change. And maybe beat Ohio State for us. I don't know. Look, Ohio State's going to destroy this game. It's going to be ugly. They're 24-point favorites, and they should be, as far as I'm concerned. I'm just hoping I'm dead wrong. This is a game I want to badly eat crow on next week. Like I hope I come on here and say, you know what, I'm stupid. But right now, I'm stupid to not pick Ohio State even to cover. That's like 48.5 over on that one as well. So it's pretty much Michigan State's not going to do jack in this game. They're trying to tell us right now.
Yep. I can't believe you skipped over the prime basketball matchup that's happening this week in college football, though.
Which one?
North Carolina and Duke. I mean, come on.
If this were on Coach K court, I might be a little more intrigued. Duke's have soured after beating the tar of North Carolina. I think that's the best match is gone. But the game of the week, in spite of my biases, I can't look past this one anymore.
Yep.
Georgia at Alabama.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Troy and Alabama Monroe. Okay.
Well, that one too. But Sunbelt action's always good. But guys, Georgia, Alabama. Georgia's 2-point favorites in Tuscaloosa. I mean,
did I see some weird stat about that? That's the first time Alabama's a home dog in like forever. Like
probably since Saban's first year, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I gotta watch this game. That's basically a pick 'em based on the line.
Yeah.
That's going to be a good game to watch. 48.5 for that over. Again, they're not taking a huge barn burner here, but maybe a 24-21, 24-22 kind of score.
Yeah. 27-24.
How much does Georgia want this game after what happened last year?
How does Georgia want this game after that close call with Kentucky? I mean,
that too. Yeah.
There's pieces here where Kirby Smart, again, he's cemented his legacy in Georgia. That's clear. But if you want to really say you're the best coach now in the SEC, you got to go beat DeBoer, the new guy in the block.
Yep.
So, and a win in Tuscaloosa does wonders for everyone's career. But yeah, that definitely must-see TV at 6:30 this weekend. But while I'm switching gears here a little bit, and we'll just come back on down here in a second. Illinois is at Penn State. Illinois and Brett Bielema's Illinois Fighting Illini have been very pesky this year. And again, Penn State's very good for choking when they have a chance to make a run. Another game I'm looking at where Illinois start kind of making their name for themselves in the Big Ten to be a contender this year for the conference. I mean, this was the game to do it. But going back to Georgia, Alabama, I mean, Troy, what do you – I guess what's the key for you in this game?
Boy, that's really tough. I mean, it's hard not to pick Georgia here just because of the pedigree and everything's kind of still in place. Alabama's got a new coach. You know, are they going to be ready for this moment? That type of thing. You got to kind of wonder. I think I'm going to go with Georgia here. But there's no confidence in that at all. If I had to pick, I'd take Georgia, but I could see this game going either way. I mean, this is going to be a classic. It should be a classic.
Well, it's kind of the who gets to play Texas Bowl at this point for the SEC.
Yeah, really. And as far as your Illinois Penn State there, real quick, what is it, a 19-point line, Penn State? Is this like a whiteout game or anything special for Penn State at this point, or? It's
a night game in Happy Valley. I'm assuming they're going to do something like that, but I mean, they might save that though. They still have Ohio State coming to them later in the season, so they might save that whiteout for that one.
Boy, I don't know. I mean, Penn State is such a weird team because you could see them covering that line, but you could also see it being one of those weird games where Illinois is hanging around, and Penn State only wins by 7. I guess if you're putting me on the spot with that one right now, I'm going to take Penn State to cover. For some reason, I think this is a game they're going to show up for. So I'll give that 19. I think they'll win. Let's go 38-18, something like that.
Okay. Bacon, any thoughts on those games?
Oh, wait. Okay, so Penn State's favored by 19 over Illinois.
Mhm.
Wow. See, and I tell you what, that was another game last week that was a hell of a lot more interesting than I've ever remembered it being in like the last decade. That Nebraska Illinois game,
Mhm.
And I only caught part of it, but yeah, I agree with Troy. The first part that Troy said was like where one of those things where I don't see Penn State blowing them out, and I don't pretend to be an expert on either one of these teams, but Penn State just doesn't seem like they've been a very good to great team for like the last 5 years, 6 years or so,
Mhm.
maybe a little bit longer than that.
Yeah.
But the difference between them and say Ohio State or Michigan are that, especially like if you're comparing them to Ohio State, if they're trying to compete with the Ohio States of the Big Ten, is that Ohio State just goes and rolls over people. And I don't feel like Penn State ever really does that for the most part. Every game you expect them to just be like, this is a game that they're just going to put their foot down and crush whoever they're, make a statement. They don't. They still win, but they don't, make that statement. So I wouldn't, if I was putting my money on it. Hey, Pat, if I was putting my money on it, I would take Illinois the points. Penn State will still win. And by the way, Pat, I think Jimmy the Greek would take Georgia on that one. But yeah, I would take. I'll take Illinois with the points. I think Penn State wins it. 27-17, something like that. I mean, they still win, but and it may not even. It may be one of those games too where it's not necessarily going to be in doubt throughout the game, kind of like not to drop the Packers in here during a college segment, but the Packers
always about the Packers. It's always about the Packers.
You're damn right it is. Last week, I mean, they that's right. Go. That game against Tennessee was never really in doubt. It was. I kind of felt like especially once Levis threw that pick six, it was like, yeah, this game is over. Their offense isn't going to do anything. Our offense may not do a whole lot more than what it's been doing, but their offense can't do a damn thing. And so I kind of feel like it's going to be one of those games where, yeah, Penn State wins. Their fans aren't going to be real stressed out about it, but it's not going to be a 20-point blowout.
Good day for beer sales. So
that's right. Every football game is a good football game for beer sales. Come on.
Well, there's that.
Yeah.
So moving over to the NFL, let's just go ahead and do this. Let's each pick a game from last week that we want to talk about the results here a little bit on, just to kind of keep this section a little bit shorter before we go to previewing this week. And while I'm tempted to go with the Packers, I'm actually going to touch on one that affects the Packer game this week, and that's that Houston-Minnesota game last week.
Yeah.
So at some point, I have to stop being surprised by Sam Darnold and the Vikings doing well. And beating the Niners, like, okay, it's a fluke, right? Yeah, it's a fluke. But then they do this to the Texans. Okay, you have my attention, sir. Like, I'm watching. I am going to the game this Sunday. Looking forward to hopefully seeing the Vikings take the nice long ride home crying. Viking tears seal our roads, and that's fine. So, no, but that being said, back to last week, though, look, this has been without one of their key playmakers in Jordan Addison, and they're still doing this.
Yeah.
I mean, not to heap praise across the border here, but O'Connell right now, and I'll say it this, probably even over LaFleur, in my opinion, based on the extra talent on that team, to me is coach of the year at this moment, if this holds. I think the Packers are a better team top to bottom, but the output that we're seeing from the Vikings right now is undeniable. The defense has come to play. They've been one of the best overall rushing defense. Now, granted, they're getting ahead and they're housing teams here, so it's going to happen. But in Sam Darnold, the guy's quarterback rating has got to be like basically 120 for the season right now. He's playing out of his mind. Aaron Jones doesn't look 30. Much before
give him a few more weeks.
Sorry?
So give him a few more weeks.
You're not wrong, but we play him this week. So that's the reality, right? The guy's doing what he does. In that defense, they took a lot of pieces out of this past offseason. It's the only guy that's really the holdover is Harrison Smith. Again, Harrison Smith, the ageless wonder, and just one of the best safeties of all time, frankly. Hold that defense down. But look, I'll say it. The Vikings have surprised me. I think that there's more to be seen. I think that once their depth starts to get challenged, on the defense side especially, is where this team starts to fall apart. The Vikings, we joke around about it. Why the Vikings wear purple? It's not a normal Norse color, is it? Well, if you're choking since the 70s, you'd be purple too. So hoping to see them choke one more time here in Lambeau this week, as I kind of do a mini preview this week. But I'll give them their flowers here for manhandling a good Texans team this past week, and at least making me second guess my feelings about this week in the Packer game. Troy, what game had your attention last week, or the result of the game that was late?
I mean, I'm hard pressed not to pick this Bills Monday night game against the Jags. I mean, that was unbelievable. The Jags should have been in desperation mode. I mean, legit should be. I mean, that they're 0-3 now. I mean, this is a team that, just late, last year was the darling. Everybody was picking the Jaguars to make a run last offseason, and now here we are, not even a full year and a half later, and they're sitting here 0-3, and their defense just got lit up. And I mean, Doug Peterson's got to be on the hot seat. He has to be. Trevor Lawrence has shown no growth. They just signed him to a huge contract extension. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love to see it from my point of view. It was, a fun game to watch as a Bills fan. But as a Jags fan here, you got to be highly disappointed in what you're seeing here. There's talent on that team. Like, what are they doing? I know they have some injuries right now. I get that. But so does Buffalo. I'd say their top three defenders are out. Well, maybe not top three, but two of their top three are out right now, and Matt Milano and Terrell Bernard. So, I mean, Taron Johnson is right there with them, and he's probably the MVP of the defense, to be honest. So, I mean, you can't always, go to the injury bug and blame that for your woes. You have to have better depth than that.
Yep.
Late in the season, maybe when you have 11 guys on the IR, okay, let's talk. But not at this point in the season when you're only missing 2 or 3 guys. Like, I don't know. I mean, that was just embarrassing. And I don't know. I mean, we kind of talked about it in our group chat here a little bit. I was a little surprised there was no rumblings of Peterson getting fired. Do you honestly think he gets the whole season? Do you think he gets the whole season? Wait,
sorry,
you got me, Ben?
I cut off. I'm sorry.
Okay. I was just saying, do you guys think Peterson gets the whole season?
I do. I really do. There's not really an option you're going to go to. There's not an interview you want to go to. And the long and short is back to Trevor Lawrence. And this is a guy that I've put a lot of words behind. I've put some support behind. But Trevor Lawrence on the season, 52.8% completion percentage. Not good enough. 186 yards per game. Not good enough. 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, 11 sacks. I mean, is plain and simple not good enough, but it's frankly awful. ETN takes a lot of heat, but I'll kind of defend him here a little bit. ETN's averaging 4.6 yards per carry.
Mm-hmm.
He has 2 touchdowns. I mean, you talk about averaging 12 touches a game for ETN. but Trevor Lawrence can't win a game for you, obviously. I mean, to your point, Peterson needs to be held accountable for that, but Trevor Lawrence needs something. He needs to be benched for a spell just to kind of get his head right. Like, go do some ayahuasca in a dark retreat with Aaron Rodgers. Do something. Like, figure something out because this isn't working. Cut your hair. Try the Samson trick. Cut your hair. Just don't go full Joe Burrow onto becoming Justin Bieber all at 20 years ago.
that was awful.
But,
I think I saw something, and I don't know if it was true or if it's just, something you see on Facebook because somebody's trying to be funny. But I think I saw that Trevor Lawrence and Daniel Jones, since Trevor Lawrence has been drafted, they basically have the same quarterback rating.
Yeah. And Jones actually has a little bit better numbers. A little bit better numbers.
That's crazy. So what did Jacksonville see to say, hey, this is our guy, we want to extend him? Like, I don't understand. I've never been on the Trevor Lawrence bandwagon. I've never have. I don't see it. And everybody wants to keep going back to I think it was the wild card game when they came back and beat the Chargers. And, oh, my God, he looked amazing in that second half. He brought them all the way back. But why were they in that hole to begin with? Because he threw 4 picks in the first half.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's all tools, right? We talk about tools in football all the time. And that's what's going to give him time, frankly. Because Trevor Lawrence has the tools. You have J.J. McCarthy and Trevor Lawrence for the non-SEC quarterbacks to win a national championship in the last roughly 10 years.
Yeah.
I mean, there's pieces there. And Clemson's fall off since Trevor left as well is telling. The guy has been a winner. He's been reliable. It wasn't until late last year he first missed a game since high school, right?
Yep.
The guy plays. Now, I'm not saying it's the right call, but I'm also saying that there's pieces here that just aren't adding up. Don't forget that 11 sacks we just talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Dude's getting knocked around.
Yep.
Got a running game that's underutilized, and it's just the defense has not been good enough either. So I look at the Jags. Again, I think Peterson survives the year, but I think Peterson is the appropriate fall guy. And if I'm the Cons, I'm looking very closely at who's that next young, talented, offensive-minded quarterback whisperer that I can bring in. A la Kevin O'Connell, Matt LaFleur, that kind of tree, that kind of thought process, Kyle Shanahan.
Yep.
Who can I go steal to make this thing work? Because it needs a very serious pump towards modern, and Doug Peterson's just looking very old school and dated right now. But the other game Monday night, before I go to you, Bacon, I want to call attention to as well. Speaking of 0-3, who did? Who didn't think they're going to win some games? Bengals lose to Washington. First NFL game since like 1940 with no punts or turnovers.
Yep.
38-33 Washington. Look, welcome to the league, Jaden Daniels. Called a coming out party on national television for him.
Yeah.
Dude looked great. Terry McLaurin finally came back to life. Look, the defense still is underperforming. Washington's defense by name alone, the names they have on that defense should be better than they are. But, hey, you know what? Hail to the Commanders, I guess. And they're don't look now. They're sharing that lead in the division as we stand right now at 2-1.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But I guess, Bacon, going to you.
Yeah.
What results stood out to you last week in the NFL slate?
Well, I gotta say this, and I said this before. I don't know if I've said it to you guys on the show or maybe my wife and I were talking about it. One of the most interesting things about the NFL, especially like say the first month, like just the entire month of September, is how unpredictable it is. And then you start after that to kind of start figuring out what teams are legit, what teams aren't, and whatnot. This to me was a fun week. I mean, it certainly helped the Packers won, and they were a noon game, so I could enjoy the rest of the day too. But despite that, I mean, even going, I enjoyed, and I know Troy, you've talked numerous times about how you're not a fan of Thursday Night Football, and I'm not necessarily a fan of it, but I, I enjoyed watching. I mean, just starting on Thursday night, and normally I don't care about the Thursday night games unless the Packers are playing. I enjoyed watching Aaron Rodgers and like just seeing how well he's doing in terms of his comeback and how easily they handled the Patriots. I mean, I didn't think the Patriots would score much, but I thought their defense would give the Jets a little bit harder time, and I really didn't feel like they did at all. But then you go into Sunday's games. I mean, looking at the Browns and how pathetic they look against the Giants, and then I'm looking at like the Saints Eagles that was kind of meh. But
yeah,
then
what was crazy about that game? I wasn't home at the time when that game was on, but I remember checking the scores at one point, and I think it was like 3 minutes to go in the third quarter, and the Saints were winning 3-0.
Yeah,
I was like, what the heck is going on here? Like,
well, especially because the Saints put up like 40 plus points 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah,
not that they were going to do that against the Eagles, but you're like, okay, I didn't realize that that this was going to be a defensive struggle. But then, I mean, look at the Steelers moving to 3-0. You didn't expect that. The Broncos go in and kick the Buccaneers' ass 26-7. I mean, I was like, what in the world happened there? And then you look at two. I'm trying to think. What was the
Panthers? Andy Dalton.
The Panthers benching their young guy and just coming in looking like a completely different team. Granted, they're playing the Raiders, but still, it was like the fact that you put 36 points up on the board when I think you went for the first 2 weeks averaging like 6 points over the first 2 weeks of the season. I mean, how inept the Dolphins looked, versus without Tua versus the Seahawks. Great game between the Lions and Cardinals. Big comeback with the Cowboys, but the fact that the Ravens had them down 28-6 at one point, you're like, what the hell? And then you see the Rams come back. That was fantastic because I hate the Niners, but I don't really care about the Rams. But then even to watch like the Sunday night game between the Chiefs and the Falcons. And I know, Ben, I completely ruined this segment because I pretty much picked every single game that wasn't already talked about.
You love football, Bacon. It's fine. It's fine.
But to watch, the Falcons actually be relevant and basically have a shot to beat the Chiefs.
Yeah.
If it weren't for that awful, stupid sweep call on 4th and inches, I mean, what are you thinking?
Yeah.
Like,
what was that? That was terrible.
Either do a play action and try to hit Drake London quick, or just run the damn ball right up the middle. And if you can't get a couple inches, you don't deserve to win the game anyway. But the horrible missed pass interference call against the Chiefs, I don't remember if it was the drive before that last drive, or if it was that same drive.
Yep, it was the drive before that. Yep.
And actually, at that point, I wasn't watching the game. I was laying in bed. I was trying to get to sleep, and then our group chat started going. I think it was Troy, maybe all of you guys. I know it was.
I think it might have been Steve. Troy. Yeah, Steve. Yeah.
Yeah. But I thought, Troy, I thought you mentioned it. You were one of them that was involved in it too. But I think Steve was the first one that was like, I can't believe they didn't call that. And then I think Charles was like, holy cow, how can you not call that? And I'm like, what the hell just happened? And I didn't even think that the Falcons would be in it by that time. But it's fun watching Kirk Cousins play football when he's not playing for the Vikings. Let me just
that's fair.
Because I do think he is a very good quarterback. I don't think he's a top 5 quarterback like Vikings fans were trying to tell me for years. But I think he's a very good quarterback that could lead that team. But one of the things I wonder too is watching him play these first few weeks, how healthy. I mean, because remember, I think there was about a month between the time that Rodgers went down with the Achilles and then Cousins went down.
Yeah,
so
it wasn't that long. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I think it was about a month.
Maybe month and a half at the most. Yeah,
something like that. So he might still be a little behind where Rodgers is, because I felt Rodgers actually looked pretty good moving around. When he was pressured against the Patriots on that Thursday night game, and so you wonder, like, okay, not that Cousins is a big mobile quarterback, but you do. Against Pittsburgh, he looked completely helpless in the pocket there, in JJ Watt, or TJ Watt. So, it'll be interesting to see how much better they do as the season goes on, and maybe his Achilles and he starts to feel more comfortable and more mobile.
Well, flipping the gear here a little bit, guys.
Yeah.
Looking at this week's games, how I want to approach this, just in the sake of time, we're getting a little late, and I'm not gonna lie, my eyelids are getting a little heavy. But we have a week to preview, dang it. So what I want to do is go through. I'm going to read the line and the matchup, and then just go ahead and give your pick on this game. And if you want to dive into, feel free to do it. Some games, to be honest, I'm not going to dive in on because, frankly, I just don't care about something this week. But some really good games, so we'll hit those as we hit them. But starting off this Thursday night game, Dallas at New York. Dallas is favored by 6.
Yeah.
I guess to say this one small detail, apparently myself and the odds makers don't agree this week at all on their lines, because I think that Dallas is enough for me to convince me that right now they're coming in this game as a touchdown favorite, like with the Giants, and the Giants haven't been good either. The Giants just won a game. The Giants are at home. It's a matchup that always seems to deliver a little bit better football from the team so. I don't know. I feel like this is one that if I'm looking at it, am I picking Dallas? Yeah, I'm picking Dallas, but not by much. So I think Thursday Night Football is going to be watchable this week. I will not be watching a whole lot because I'm coaching my son's baseball game. But those who do watch, well, the opportunity to watch these football game, I think.
Yeah, I think Dallas is going to come out here and play pretty inspired football. They looked like they were pretty upset and disappointed with that performance on Sunday as well. They should have been. They came back. They gave it a fight. I was really surprised the heart that they showed at the end of that, because they could have easily just folded that in and not wanted to, even try to come back in that game. You could have seen putting backups in and stuff. So that tells me two things: that they still want to play for each other, and that they are playing for Mike McCarthy as well. So that being said, I think I see the Cowboys come out here, and I really see them putting a thumping on the Giants. I'll give that 6. I'll give 12. I think the Cowboys win by 2 touchdowns here.
Okay, Bacon, what do you got?
You know what? To kind of go on with what Troy was saying, I thought they'd come on and play pissed off against the Ravens, and they didn't. And until they were down 28-6. So, I'll take the Cowboys, but I think it might be more of like a field goal game until they show. I mean, they got bitch slapped the week before at home against wasn't it the Saints that went in there and just tore them apart. I mean, I like Derek Carr as a person, but to me, he shouldn't be going in and putting up 40+ points in Dallas. I mean, maybe if it's in New Orleans, that would be different. But so. Yeah, I guess my point being until they show me that they can actually go in and just crush somebody like they should. I mean, should they win by 2 touchdowns or more against this Giants team? Absolutely. But yeah, I'm picking. I'll pick Dallas, but maybe by a field goal.
Okay. Going to the Bears game, the Bears host the Rams, and the Bears actually are 3-point favorites at home this week playing the Rams. Again, odds makers, tell me what I don't know, because I've not seen enough from this Bears team to tell me that that's what should happen. And I'm going to go with one name to explain why I think some of these problems exist. It's not the one you're thinking either. It's DeAndre Swift. The guy has he's brought in to be a difference maker, and they have not used him. You need to use that running game, Chicago. Now, I know your coach is inept. I know that your offensive coordinator is not doing the job either. So Eberflus, Waldron, best of luck to you guys. But I don't love this Rams team, but I think they beat the Bears this weekend. Bacon, what do you think?
Yeah, I would agree. What is it's a 3 points by the Bears?
3-point line.
Yeah, I mean, I'd take the Rams for sure. As down this year as I think the Rams are going to be, they still came back and beat the Niners last week, and they don't have Will Levis at quarterback to throw some ridiculous, inexplicable pass that gets picked off and returned for a touchdown. They have Matt Stafford, who's actually pretty damn good. So, until I could see this being another offensive performance by Caleb Williams, the same that he did against the Titans, where it's hardly anything, and they have to depend on their defense. And I think offensively the Rams are better than the Titans were. So I'll take the Rams in this one.
Okay, Troy.
Well, looks like we're all in the underdog train. I'm taking the Rams here too. Yeah, I think the Rams are just better coached. I think they're a better team, even with some of the injuries that they have right now. I think they're still a better team, and I wouldn't be surprised here to see the Rams play more controlled football, ground control, and I think you might see Kyron Williams have a big game this week.
Okay. Let's go to that Steelers-Colts game. Pittsburgh is road favorites, 1.5 points.
Wow. Is it just me, or do the Steelers have an easy schedule every year, other than their division games?
It feels like, doesn't it?
I don't I mean, I guess that's what you get for going 9-8 every year, but I don't know.
I don't get it. But that being said, the Colts look like trash. So the Steelers just need to not suck.
Yeah.
And the Steelers literally are playing like the Packers have been playing in terms of Justin Fields is getting the Malik Willis treatment. And we just saw what happened to the Colts a few weeks ago when he do that. So I think the Colts are in for a very similar game to how they lost the Packers unless they change something. It starts with Aaron Richardson. Godly. Anyway.
Anthony
Richardson. It starts there. The kid's got to play better.
Yeah, definitely.
There's been a lot of people putting a lot of praise on him before the season starts, and he's just not been good enough. Pieces are there for him. He's got to play better. It tastes like vomit in my mouth. I'm picking the Steelers to win this game right now.
Yeah.
And what's the line in this one again?
1.5 to the Steelers.
Yeah, I would take. I'm taking the Steelers. I mean, until the Colts realize that they have one of the best running backs in the NFL and actually start utilizing them that way, take some of the pressure off Anthony Richardson. I don't see their fortunes changing at all. And I mean, Pittsburgh has a fantastic defense. I mean, that's what's been winning games. That's what helped the Packers against the Colts. And like you said, I think it's going to be. I mean, if all they have to do is follow that same recipe and hope that the Colts coaching staff doesn't get head out of their ass before the game starts and change their strategy. So,
Troy,
I mean, is this 2020 all over again? I mean, are the Steelers going to go 12-0 before they finally play a team? I mean, they should win this game easily. They should win this game. Their defense is going to overmatch the Colts. I think even if the Colts haven't, I'm not impressed by any of the receivers they have, to be honest with you. So I don't think that's helping Richardson out. And this is not the team, the Steelers, and that you want to try to run against. So even if they do decide to use Taylor this game, it's not the greatest idea to do so against the Steelers. So I think the Steelers win. I think they cover. And I mean, who do the Steelers have next week? I just can't believe this team every week. Just nobody play nobody.
You're gonna laugh a little hard at this one. Their schedule coming up at home against the Cowboys.
Okay.
At the Raiders.
There you go. Look.
At home against the Jets. At home against the Giants. At the Commanders on November 10th. So,
I mean, they could really legitimately have a shot at being like 8-1 or 9-2 or somewhere in 8-9 wins.
Yeah.
And that's I mean, Cowboys, Jets, maybe Commanders. But where's that Commanders game at?
At Washington in the dumpster fire of FedEx Field.
I mean, get a shitstorm going on them there. I mean, that's I mean, I don't. This is crazy.
So I mean,
they're going to win that division. You watch. They're going to win that division.
Yeah. Here's what I'm disagreeing with you. This is where at the Commanders game, home against the Ravens, at the Browns, at the Bengals.
Yeah, you're right. The end of the schedule is tough. I guarantee. But if the Bengals keep playing the way they're playing, who knows what the hell they're looking at the end of the year? Are they? I mean, is Burrow even going to finish? I mean, how many times has that guy finished a season? Not. I mean, what, 2 out of his 4 years? Like,
But
Yeah.
still, their last 4 games are at the Eagles, at the Ravens, at home against the Chiefs, and at home against the Bengals.
Yeah, definitely a tough ending. I agree with you. I mean,
But their defense is tough enough to hang with anybody. That's the thing.
Sure.
I mean,
Yep.
you know, as long as you keep it close and Fields doesn't F it up, I mean, I don't see them blowing out any teams, even the bad ones. I see every game being like a 20-10 or a 23-17, some, you know, or 17-14, something like that. I don't see them. You know, I see that this whole season going the way it's been so far, where it's more of a defensive.
is there any way they move on from Fields at this point? And B, is Wilson trade bait?
Is there any way that's intentional? Let's not kid ourselves. I mean, I think they got Wilson. I don't know they're going to get Fields. All in all, they got Fields there. I think they gave Wilson the nod of being the more senior, accomplished guy. And then they had an excuse, and now it's like, oh, this season starts really well for us to let Fields find his groove here. Oops, sorry, Russ. Go cook some Russ.
Yeah.
I mean,
Hey, same thing happened to Matt Flynn when he got signed to the $10 million contract with Seattle.
Yeah.
And then they decided, oh, wait, we have a chance to draft Russell Wilson. We're going to take this guy. And then it was going to be, hey, Russell's going to learn under Matt Flynn. And then they were like, wait a minute, no, forget it. We're not even going to bother with Matt. You know, I mean, hey, karma's a bitch there. Born again virgin.
Yeah.
Couldn't have to do a better guy.
I mean, do you think, like, does somebody like Miami try to trade for him, maybe?
Maybe.
I would. But, I mean, I think that I'll be looking at NFC. I don't think the Steelers want to even flirt with helping out the conference right now.
Yeah, that's true.
If I'm the Patriots, so I get Russell Wilson just to let him take the rest of the reins. I mean, Brissett's not that good. Wilson could be a little better enough. If they're still hanging around 500 in a few weeks, do you make that trade of Russell Wilson there to try and say, hey, Drake may watch this and learn? Then, you know, thanks Russ, bye Russ for the rest of the season. I don't know. It's funny. That I can see making sense.
I mean, you say NFC, but I can't really think of any teams in the NFC that would want him, to be honest.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Like, what team? I mean, obviously Miami comes to mind first of all in the AFC because of the injury issue. But right now, what team in the NFC has that injury issue where they're desperate for I mean, because let's be honest, Skylar Thompson and
Tim Boyle.
Tim Boyle.
Tim Boyle.
You know, neither of those guys are the answer in Miami. So to me, Miami makes the most sense based on need. But I do agree with you, Ben. I mean, I wouldn't be trying to help out another AFC opponent.
Did we hear any more on Purdy's injury? I know he was dealing with something. Is that anything that they're worried about? Did anybody hear anything on that?
I haven't heard anything, seriously.
Okay.
No.
Tell you what, though, it'd be hilarious to see Russ dressed for the 49ers.
Yeah.
Go play in Seattle. That I would watch. Watch the hippies in Seattle turn on Russell Wilson. Would be hilarious.
Yeah, that'd be good. All right, let's keep moving on. We got sidetracked again.
Yeah.
Saints at Falcons, guys.
Good
Falcons 2.5-point favorites.
Yep.
Wait, how many?
2.5-point favorites.
Oh, I thought. Wow. Okay, I thought you said 9 at first. I'm like 9-point favorites.
Basically, home field advantage.
Yeah. It's the Saints right now, but that's just me.
Well, didn't you pick the Saints to win the division?
I did.
Yeah, so I thought, okay, I think I picked the Falcons, but
I took the Falcons too, and that's not why I'm going to take the Falcons though. I'm going to take the Falcons here because I think they're playing pretty good ball.
Yeah, and
I think they're finally starting to find their groove, and I just feel like the Saints are overachieving a little bit, and I'm not taking anything away from the start they had. That was amazing. They played great, putting 40 points up the first 2 weeks, but I think they're coming back down to reality a little bit. They played a better team in Philly last week, and they gave them their all they could handle. And I think you're going to see something similar with the Falcons. Falcons, sneaky good defense. So yeah, I think we're going to see a pretty decent, maybe low 20s game, but I think the Falcons edge it out here.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Ben. Or I agree with Troy there. I don't really have a whole lot to add to it either. I think I think Falcons are playing better than they did in week one. I feel like they've shown improvement every week. And I'm taking the Falcons.
And the Andy Dalton Bowl. The Bengals go to Carolina for the Andy Dalton Bowl this weekend. And
please tell me the Panthers are favored. That'd be hilarious.
I wish I could, but Cincinnati is 3.5-point favorites here.
Only 3.5 though. Wow.
Right. The Bengals at the Panthers, only 3.5-point favorites right now.
Yeah.
So, and funny enough, not the cheapest seats in the league this week. So
wow.
Not giving away tickets this week. They're selling those suckers. But yeah, I mean, look, this game's gonna suck. It's gonna all get ugly. Bengals should win, but I will barely pay attention to that besides maybe a box score.
Yep. Yeah, Bengals should win this game, but I mean, if they don't, holy crap! I mean, it's gonna set off fire alarms in Cincinnati.
Yeah, right? I'll be paying attention only because we have Burrow as our starting quarterback for fantasy football. But but honestly, I'd take the Panthers.
What?
I'm taking the Panthers. I'm calling the upset right now here, fellas.
Wow, here we go.
I mean, again, not that they.
Ginger.
What?
What was this?
It's the ginger magic. Ginger magic. Yeah. That's all it is.
It's not even that. It's that I find what's going on right now in Cincinnati hilarious. I don't know why. It's not like I have a problem with the city of Cincinnati like I do Minneapolis. It's not like I have an issue with anybody on the Bengals. I just sometimes there are stories that storylines, I should say, that really catch your attention. You just want to see them keep going. And sometimes I feel like usually it's the good kind of storylines, but sometimes it's the dumpster fires. And I'm like, I want to see what kind of a mess this can become. If they go 0-4, if they go 0 for September, like, what is that? I don't know. I mean, it'll be such a mess that I just like, yeah.
You might want to pick up Jake Browning as your quarterback then, Aaron.
Yeah. Well, we have Rodgers as our backup, so
okay.
That's right. We're good. We're fine there. But yeah, I'll call the upset. Why not? Why the hell not? I'm not actually putting any real money on it. So
that sounds fun. Yeah. That would be interesting for sure. Battle of the Cats.
So one of the more aggressive lines in the slate is actually Houston hosting the Jaguars. They are 6.5-point favorites. But fun fact in this pairing, all time, the Texans lead the series 29-15 against the Jaguars.
Wow.
These two teams have both had some bad seasons, but the Texans have owned the Jaguars overall. So this is the one, I think this game follows suit. Now, the last 2 years, these two teams split their matchups, but I think the Texans in this one should be angry, should play angry. And Jacksonville, based on what I saw this week, looked deader than freaking doornail. So I'm going to go ahead and say that this one, Houston wins it going away. Take Stroud in your fantasy or your daily fantasy this week because I think you're going to get some big points there. Blowing out that sucker up. But, yeah, the trend continues. Houston keeps their massive advantage on the Jags. Yeah, that's where I'm at. What do you guys think?
I agree.
I agree, and I kind of have a similar feeling to what Aaron was saying with the Bengals here. Like, I want to see this dumpster fire in Jacksonville keep going. Like this is interesting to me. Like, I want to watch this. So,
okay.
See, I think that the difference. Let me just say this real quick before we move on to the next game. The difference between the two dumpster fires is that I think people could see. I think there are more people surprised with the Bengals starting 0-4 than there would be with the Jaguars starting 0-4. So it's like, but yeah, I don't have a problem watching any team go for September, unless it's the Packers. So
I hope they play each other at the end of the year and they're both 0-16.
that'd be hilarious. That'd be hilarious. Oh my gosh! All right.
So if okay, just entertain me with this one. So if I were the Ravens, the Steelers, the Browns, and the Bengals go 0-4, would you not play Earth, Wind, and Fire when they come out your stadium next time you guys play each other? The song September.
Yes.
I would mock the living hell out of them and just play September for them every time they come to our stadium from now on. Just to be like, remember when you guys sucked in September? Yeah. So, but
Good stuff.
oh,
what a night. Late September.
But switching gears here, another aggressive line that I'm not buying. 7.5-point Jets favored over the Broncos in MetLife this weekend.
What's this over under?
39.5. So 21-18, roughly. Call it that.
What'd you say it was? 6.5?
It is a 7.5.
7.5.
So I mean, the line's hard.
It's like 23-16, something like that.
Have to be right. I mean,
Yeah.
27-12. So yeah, but it's a weird number.
I don't think the Broncos win, but for some reason that seems a little high for me. I mean, it is only a touchdown, really. I think I'll take the Jets to cover. I think I'll go with that like 23-16 area, right? Like that. Yeah.
Okay.
See, but then if I'm going with that line, I'll take, and I hate saying this because I hate Sean Payton, but I'll take the Broncos to cover. I mean, I think since it's with it being 7.5, if it was 6.5, then I take the Jets.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, I was thinking. You're right. I was thinking. Yeah. That point that is big. That 1 point is different. Yeah, you're right. I will take the Broncos to cover. Yeah.
So I think it's.
I had it back. I thought it was 6.5.
Yeah, and I could see like your 23-16 kind of thing.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah, because I it'll be interesting though to see what Broncos team shows up. Is it the Broncos team that just basically boat raced the Buccaneers in Tampa, or is it the one that we saw the first 2 weeks, which really didn't do squat? So, but yeah, I still think the Jets win. But if we're going by point spreads, I'm taking the Broncos to cover.
Now, the game that has my attention here, that's not the biggest game of the slate, in my opinion, but the Eagles at Tampa Bay. In my opinion, this is two teams trying to find their identity, two teams trying to see what's really going on here.
Yep.
Are the Eagles going to have either of their receivers this game?
I don't know. Last I saw I think questionable tags on both, but I don't know where it's landing right now.
I think Smith's in concussion protocol, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. So, but Dallas Goedert had a big week last week, but Jahan Dotson is there. You have a good running back room. I mean, do they just run Jalen Hurts to try and get him hurt so they can play someone else?
What's the line here, Ben?
2 points for Philly.
Eagles favored by 2.
Yeah. Honestly, this one's too close to call. If I to put a tag, I would say if you had to bet, I would say I wouldn't. I'd be like, I'll hold my money here on this one. This one's not really attractive to bet either way. If I'm picking just on a straight pick 'em, I'll take the Eagles, but even by less than 2. If you call Eagles by 1, like 22-21.
I'm going to go with the Buccaneers in a straight upset here. I don't know why. I really don't. But I just feel something weird about this game. I think the Eagles dealing with some injuries is going to come back to haunt them a little bit. But I think the Buccaneers went straight up in an upset here, 2017.
Yeah, I would agree. Just to be different, I'll say like 23-17. But I think I think the Buccaneers should be embarrassed at the way they played against the Broncos last week at home. And you said this is in Tampa also?
It is.
Yeah. So I think maybe if it was in Philly, I'd feel a little bit different, but they're coming to Tampa. They got the injury issues. I think the Buccaneers win this one.
So, insight to my madness here, guys. When it comes to games like this, I have a theory. The teams I cheer for seem to always lose when I care. so if I pick the team I don't want to win,
Mm-hmm.
if I'm right, I can be happy. But the team I want to win wins, I can also be happy. So there's no losing that way, right?
Yeah, I got you.
But no. Speaking of that, this is a hard one for me. I'm just being honest. But go back to the goal. Look, Vikings rolling into Lambeau. This is a big noon game. Honestly, looking at the slate, I think it's only because of CBS games that it's not the game of the week on Fox for 3 o'clock. So, look, this is really for the real first place in the division.
Mm-hmm.
The Bears we want to talk about. What do we want to talk about? Shut up, Bears. I mean, we beat the same teams. We look better doing it. So I'm looking at this right now and saying that I think the Packers and Vikings, again, comes down to, honestly, Jacobs versus Jones in a lot of ways. It's not like Jordan Addison's going to be healthy enough to play. Same with Jefferson. Our defense is good and we take the ball away, but I'm tempted to bring the sign to say, Darnold, we brought our ghosts with us. Do you see him? Something mocking about seeing ghosts out there again. Just something, anything to get in his head a little bit here. But just,
are you going to be on the moon line?
I'm sorry?
Are you going to be part of the moon line?
No, I'm not. I've never partook. I never partook. I have done a lot of stupid things around Lambeau. That's not one of them. But I will say that Randy Moss can kiss my you-know-what. But no, look, Vikings, Packers 2.5-point favorites here at Lambeau. Jordan Love trending towards playing. And that's going to be my difference maker.
Yeah, I agree. I was exactly what I was going to say, Ben. I think if Love plays, I'll take the Packers. If he doesn't, I'm going to take the Vikings.
And nothing against Malik Willis. He's done everything we've asked him to do and more.
Yep. I agree.
But I think Jordan Love is that next level for us where it changes for me the outcome of the game.
Yep.
Maybe you see Dontavian Wicks get his head out of his ass this week finally. Bo Melton can wake up a little bit. You can start seeing those guys, those bottom receivers for us are kind of doing something. Romeo Dobbs can kind of retread a little bit. Like there's pieces here that I think that I want to see what our offense will look like with Love in the game. But I'll take the Packers here, and I'm going to call this one a 27-28. So Vikings cover, Packers win with a 2-minute drive to win the game for Jordan Love to send us home happy.
All right. Troy, how about you?
I just kind of, I kind of shot my shot here already, but I'm kind of going, if Love plays, I'll take the Packers. If he doesn't, I'm going to take the Vikings here. And I think that's really what it's going to boil down to. And like Ben was saying, nothing against Malik Willis. He's coming in, he's doing the job, he's doing, everything that's asked of him. But I think this is just a step up from the competition that they've played. And I think that's going to make a big difference here. And I like I said, I think Love would be that difference maker that they need to beat the Vikings here. And so that's what I'm going to stick with. So I don't know if that's a cop out, but
no, that's because technically speaking, you look at who the Packers have beaten, and not to be a downer or anything like that, but they've done the job the last 2 weeks with Malik Willis, but it's not like they've beaten two teams that are going to be Super Bowl contenders. I mean, I don't think anyone's thinking that about the Titans or even the Colts. So yeah, this would, if Malik Willis has to start again, this will be by far the toughest test he's had, and it's not even close. I'm going to assume that Jordan Love is playing. If he is, I would, I'll take the Packers. I could see 28-24, something like that. I mean, I think I'll take the Packers and I'll take them to cover. If Malik Willis has to start, I'll still say it's going to be a game. I don't see Minnesota blowing them out. I think maybe it would be like a 20-17 Minnesota win. So I will say this for all the Vikings fans, whether you win or lose, but especially if you win, you're still not doing anything this year. So just, don't get too excited. Anyway, Ben, what's up?
Fun fact, remind everyone, the last time the Vikings went 0-3, they still didn't win a Super Bowl, but that's okay. So no, look, at the end of the day, what I'm curious about too, though, Aaron, with you is if we're down 2, we're at the 25-yard line, and there's 3 seconds left. How confident are you in Braden Arvison versus our offense trying to win that game for us?
Well, I say you have to give the kid the shot.
You do.
I mean, but I'm not looking at the TV. I mean, let's just say that we don't have tickets for this game because it's the Milwaukee fans, so we don't have this one. So I mean, we'll be at home. I'm in a different room waiting to hear what my wife how her reaction is. She screams, then then I'll come out and watch the replay or I'll rewind it or whatever. But I'm not watching the TV. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, that might be that collective held breath in the stadium.
Yeah,
right there.
Exactly. Then we'll know. Okay, did we make the right choice? Or I mean, he hasn't. Well, no, I'm not even going to say it. Forget it. Keep going.
To be fair, Justin Tucker has missed more field goals than he has this year.
Yeah, how about that?
True. Yeah.
But okay, going to 3:00 games, a game that should have been rubbish coming into the season, but looks like a dandy. Washington going to Arizona. A lot of fantasy implications here. Actually, the cheapest tickets of the week at $17 right now for the cheapest seats in Glendale.
Jeez. Come on, Glendale. Support your team, damn it. They're actually playing well. Remind me, was this past week, was the Monday night game Daniels' first official start, or has he been starting all year?
No, he's been starting all year.
Has he? Okay. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
All right. For some reason, I kept thinking that was his first start, but okay. Well, what's the line?
The line is 3.5 in Arizona's favor. So
what's the over under on this one? That'd be an interesting one.
Yeah, Callie mentioned the other game here. To me, this is a game I'm not betting. Period. 50.5 is the over on this one. That's a high NFL over.
Yeah.
But looking at Washington's results, they looked bad in Tampa. They squeaked by the Giants and they squeaked by the Bengals. So I guess look at this. Washington's not a team that's going to destroy anybody, but they're also going to keep it close against like opponents. I think Arizona is a like opponent.
Yeah.
So is this kind of Jaden Daniels versus Kyler Murray in a way? Again, not that wins our quarterback stat, Troy, but it's still looking at this and seeing the impact those two guys are going to have in the game. Trey McBride's in concussion protocol. James Conner's having a good season. Marvin Harrison Jr. is kind of finding his way right now. There's a lot of pieces there kind of making it intriguing. Arizona might have to be a little smarter with it. I'll still say that every time Kyler Murray, when he's running with that football, looks like a toddler running with his parents' phone around the house. It's just hilarious.
Yes, he does. It is funny looking. You can't catch me. You can't catch me.
Kyler, get over here right now. Get over here.
Daddy, why is my middle name Dammit?
Yeah. See, I'm never going to watch him running the same now after that. Okay.
No,
So you said it's
Arizona's
Arizona's what, a 3.5 point favorite or 2.5?
Yeah, they're 3.5 point favorites.
Yeah.
I got Arizona winning the game. I'll say they barely cover 24-20. I think that over is a little too high to hit, and I think this is going to be again another close game. This one Washington does not come out with. Troy, what do you got?
50.5 the over.
50.5.
I don't know why I feel. I think the Commanders are due for a little bit of a letdown after that big win on Monday night. I think that was a real big win for them, and I think it's just going to be natural for a rookie quarterback to come back and kind of have a little bit of a letdown after that. I think the Cardinals are going to win this game, but I kind of like that over, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I'm going to say 30-24 Arizona.
Okay. Bacon, what's your final take on that one?
Yeah, I was going to say too. I like the over, not by much, but I was thinking like 28-24 Arizona. So they'll cover. And I think I would take the over, and it wouldn't shock me to see another game similar to Monday nights, but with Arizona, Washington losing that one instead of winning it. I could see a shootout.
And this is just me. Whenever I see a 50-point over on an NFL game, it feels like I'm looking at a 70-point in college, where it's like, okay, this is the sucker hook that they're throwing out there at us to try and go for it. So I don't know. Next game though, San Francisco, guys, I'm losing it because they're 10-point favorites. And I don't see it against New England this week. I think they win, but they're not winning by 10. I mean,
they got so many injuries.
Yeah,
it's where's it going to come from? The whole offense is basically questionable.
I mean, they were up by what, like 17 on the Rams, right? I mean.
And they blew it there.
They did. I agree, but I think their defense is at least their strong point here.
Right.
I don't know how they let the Rams sneak. I mean, that's a division opponent. That's a little different.
40.5 is the over on that game.
40.5.
Yeah. So you're talking about a
21-20, something like that.
31-10 wins, what they're basically saying for San Francisco.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, that's true.
Like 20, 25, 15, something like that. Yeah.
Roughly. But yeah, 26, 14.
I would agree with you on. I don't really see. I'd be surprised if they cover, but at the same time, I don't see New England being able to score on them at all. So, I mean, I could see them covering this and winning 20-6 or 3. Yeah, something like. I mean, look at the Jets won 24-3, and I think that the Niners are a better team than the Jets, even though I mean the injuries are the biggest concern for the Niners. But I mean, yeah, I guess I would almost think about taking the under, but maybe even still taking the Niners to cover. And I hate saying that because I hate that damn team. But I mean, it wouldn't be that hard to cover, I guess, is my point. I mean, hell, you could win 17-6 and you still cover. You know, I mean, if you're looking at the point spread. So, I'll take the Niners to cover, but I don't think it's going to be like they're just going to crush them. I think they'll barely cover.
The Pats did put 20 up on the Seahawks, by the way. Just putting that out there too.
That's true.
Yeah.
So,
Nah. I think, is it 10.5 or 9.5?
It's 10, period.
It's 10 on the money. Oh, geez.
10 on the money. Yeah, ugly. I hate that.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to call a push then. I mean, as crazy as that sounds, I'm going to go 27-17 Niners.
Okay. This next game is trash. I'm not going to talk a lot about it a whole lot. The Browns are playing the Raiders. Vegas has 2-point favorites. I think the Browns win, but I don't care.
That reminds me of remember when the Browns would play the Bengals back in the day, and it was like a 9-6 game. I mean, that's what this
is. That's your Thursday night Amazon game. They first started doing that. It was like,
exactly. Yeah,
Texans, Jags, Jets against the Dolphins, and they both sucked.
Yeah.
Jeff Blake and Bruce Pickens or whatever his name was. Carl Pickens, that's it.
Now, funny fact about this, by the way, guys, third most expensive tickets this week.
Well, it's Vegas.
It is, but I mean, like, bro,
wow,
get your tickets comped or something. Like, my gosh, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
147 that low ticket right now. The game sucks. Who cares? But
yeah, I mean, I agree, but I'll tell you what, if the Raiders don't come out and play inspired after the way Antonio Pierce blasted them last week, then that's gonna really shake that locker room up, I think. So I actually think the Raiders are gonna win this game, to be honest with you.
That wouldn't shock me at all, because I think the Browns are honestly maybe the biggest disappointment so far this year. I mean, even considering the Bengals are 0-3, the Browns, to me, have, like, the way they've been playing, there's just no excuse for it. But
so, for me, I love stadiums. The realization point I had with the Browns was that I didn't recognize their stadium at all when we played them in preseason. I'm like, where the hell are they playing? Oh, that's the Browns' home field. Mm-hmm. Like, I literally didn't recognize it. I've watched so few Browns games overall in Cleveland. Like, it's just, I don't know.
But you couldn't recognize it because it wasn't littered with trash?
Well, it was. The citizens of Cleveland. Sorry, Guardians fans. But
no, wasn't that Cleveland when they had to stop that game early or something because they were all throwing trash on the field because of the call?
Oh, yeah, maybe that was.
You don't remember that?
I just remember, was that the reason why Sam White, remember when he went off on his tirade?
Oh, I remember that, but what was that about?
And he was like, because they were throwing stuff on the field in Cincinnati. I can't remember if they were playing the Browns or if they were playing somebody else, and he grabbed the mic and he said, if you see somebody throwing something on the field, point them out. Let's get them out of here. And then he's like, you don't live in Cleveland, you live in Cincinnati. And I'll never forget that rant.
So
I'm gonna look it up.
AI says there's no record of an NFL game being stopped with trash being thrown on the field. But there was an incident in 2022. After the Dallas Cowboys lost to the 49ers in the 2022 wildcard game, fans threw trash at players and referees as they left the field.
Here we go. You ready? Cleveland Browns fans pelted the field with plastic beer bottles and garbage Sunday after an overturned call in the final minute helped the Jaguars to a 15-10 win. The Jaguars had to dodge flying objects, including full beer bottles, as they sprinted off the field. Officials were doused with beer and cups of ice. So that's the one I'm remembering. So the rowdy behavior came after the Browns quarterback Tim Couch had apparently completed a fourth down pass to wide receiver Quincy Morgan with 1 minute and 8 seconds remaining, giving Cleveland a first down at the Jacksonville 9-yard line. With no timeouts and 48 seconds to go, Couch spiked the ball and was headed to the sideline when officials began discussing Morgan's catch. After several confusing minutes, officials reviewed the pass play and announced that Morgan, who was bobbling the ball as he fell to the ground, did not catch it. So, and that's when, So I think, here we go. While both teams were in the NFL, okay, the Jaguars, hold on. What did I miss here? I missed something.
Well, frankly, they shouldn't have been able to. I could see why fans would be pissed because they shouldn't have been able to. If he was able to spike the ball, you shouldn't have been able to go back and review that play.
The Jaguars moved away from their bench to avoid getting hit. Officials announced the game was over. But while both teams were in the locker room, NFL Commissioner Paul Tagliabue ordered the officiating crew to have the final 48 seconds played. Nearly 30 minutes later, Cleveland's defense and Jacksonville's offense came out of the locker room. About 5,000 fans were in the stadium to see Jacksonville quarterback Mark Brunell take 2 snaps and run out the clock. As Jacksonville was huddling a thrown bottle, barely missed wide receiver Keenan McCardle. It almost stopped early, but Tagliabue made him come out for the final 2 knees.
Well, there must have been a reason though why they were allowed to go back, and that would be interesting to go back and look at that game. Like, why were you allowed to go back and review that play when Couch was able to spike the ball? That's a play.
Would have that been before instant replay was back?
That's what I was thinking. Just Tim Couch. That's going to be.
It was 2001.
Yeah.
But I don't remember what year instant replay came back. I don't remember.
But I would think you would that rule would still be in place that, hey, once a play happens, you can't go back and have a conversation or replay or whatever about a play that happened 2 plays ago. They're like,
well, what do they do in that situation now? If they're do they wait until the team gets up to the line, they're ready to snap it, then they call the play off, right? Isn't that what they usually do?
Yeah. So
usually,
by the way, this current system started in 1999.
Oh, okay. So there was instant replay, but that would have. But apparently they didn't use replay for that, though. I'm thinking because it said the officials just huddled and talked about it.
But yeah, to your point though, if they set the ball and the Browns snapped it,
yeah,
they're still out of their rights within the rules. So that's very interesting. But
I'd be pissed too if I were a fan. But
yeah,
well, okay, there you go. A little bit of history.
Speaking of pissed and refs, the Chargers have to play the 12th man this week as they face the Kansas City Chiefs at home. So the Chiefs are coming to LA. The Chargers are banged up. Herbert was in the walking boot.
Doesn't look like Herbert's playing.
Yeah. Between that and Derwin James being suspended, I think the Chiefs get their another game handed to them here.
Yeah.
Sorry, Chiefs fans.
What's the line on this?
The refs plus 10. No, 7.5.
7.5.
Yeah,
I think the Chiefs win by at least 10.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, these aren't even really home game. I'll say this: I feel sorry for these players that play for both the Chargers and for the Rams because the NFL wanted to be back in LA so badly, but LA sports fans don't deserve one football team, let alone two.
No.
I mean, it's absolute bullshit. They suck. They suck as fans. They show up late. They leave early. They don't care most of the time, even who the hell is playing. Last week, apparently, somebody took a shot of a kind of a not a drone photo, but like a wide angle shot of the stadium, and they said almost the entire stadium was red for Niners fans, and it was in. And I remember a couple of years ago when the Rams won the Super Bowl, and the NFC Championship game was in LA against the Niners. And I remember people saying it was pretty much all Niners fans. Like, show up for your freaking team. I'm sorry. It's just that kind of shit pisses me off. And like, I've even talked to people who live in LA who've said they didn't really want a team because the nice thing about going for whatever 2 decades or whatever it was without a team was that they got to see the best games every week. Like those people that were football fans in LA got to see great football. Like they didn't get stuck with now granted the Rams have been decent for a few years now and Chargers are kind of off and on good, but they were like, when the Rams and when the Rams sucked, they didn't get, they would be stuck watching shitty football basically is what they had said. And so they would rather not have a team than have a bad team because then at least they could get the best game that was on that week or get to see different games. So, yeah,
can you imagine being the mayor of Oakland right now? You've literally overseen the complete exodus of professional sports from your city over the last decade. I mean, it's just sorry, it's a little off topic. I'm just like, I'm the Chargers too. Like the Chargers and the A's, the letter from the A's owner to fans, like the owner's trying to gain sympathy. Like, hey guys, I tried. Did you though? Like. Did you really try, or we didn't give you enough money? Like, come on. So
when did the Warriors leave?
Well, when was Oracle built?
I was gonna say, yeah, they left a few years ago, didn't they, to go to San Fran? Because aren't they just over the bridge in San Francisco?
Well, yeah, Oakland and San Francisco are right.
Yeah,
right across the bridge from each other. Yeah. I don't know. Is Golden State's arena in San Fran now? I didn't think it was.
I thought it was.
I thought it was too. And so it's listed as San Fran. It's Chase Center Arena is in San Francisco.
Wow. Well, there you go.
Mission Bay neighborhood of San Francisco.
Yeah.
So they've already lost them, I guess.
So I mean, yeah, it's a if I'm sitting there on the Oakland side of things, I'm looking at just going like, dude, what the hell? Like, you had 3 and now you have none.
Hey
Yep.
guys.
Yeah.
Well, I still find it funny though is that like Santa Clara has the Niners. I'm like, they're called.
Yeah, good point. Yeah.
Like you go to Santa Clara just to get the stadium built. It's just bizarre. But anyway, back to the topic at hand. I apologize. I went way off on that one.
Yeah, that's.
I'm going to talk about collecting Troy's tears this weekend as the Ravens host the Bills. And Lamar Jackson throws for 300 yards against his Bills.
Oh, now I know you're lying.
So Derrick Henry.
He might run for 300.
I'll take it. Look, in all seriousness, the Ravens right now are 2.5-point favorites at home. This is Sunday Night Football. This is going to be good football to watch.
Yep.
It's
these teams usually play really good defensive football against each other. They usually do.
Right.
Yeah.
And look, as impartial as I can be in this one, I'll call it a pick 'em. If I'm being honest, I edge towards the Ravens kind of recovering, but also the Bills are the hotter team right now. So to me, it's a pick 'em game.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll say the key is to your point, what defense breaks first and how do they break? Because it's going to come down to where's the hole. And right now I'm looking at what the Bills have done well. They found some of that sideline passing games, some of those deeper plays that they weren't supposed to be able to have this year. But Keon Coleman's found some lanes. Shakir's been phenomenal. I look for Kyle Hamilton to disrupt that a little bit. And the Ravens just kind of play Ravens ball, which might look a little dirty at times and kind of uck it up a little bit. But I think that Josh Allen, with his legs, by the way, also can be a difference maker in this game for them. The Bills are another team that I want to see them use their running game better, for lack of better words. I think James Cook has been good, and I think he still could be used more. Could still do some more for them. At this point, Dalton Kincaid needs to kind of come alive here a little bit. A little bit of a slow start to the season for him. Mark Andrews is another one I'm kind of watching here. So it's got overall tight. If you're in fantasy football, you know it's been a tight end wasteland this year. It is garbage. But I think Mark Andrews is a guy that should be healthy now, should be able to contribute in this game, especially if you put Likely and Andrews out there. I like that matchup if I'm as a Ravens fan. But the other side of that one goes to, look, the Bills can tee off on Zay Flowers, and who else is going to step up in that wide receiving group? That's the real question for me. So I'll be the homer pick, and I'll say the Ravens win barely. I think that the 2.5, 3 points is an appropriate distance. Let's call it a 21-17. Ravens pull it out.
Yeah, no, I mean it's. I think it's going to be somewhere in that ballpark as far as score wise. Yeah, I think it's going to be high teens, low 20s, somewhere in that range. I mean, obviously, I guess Aaron's going to have to be the tiebreaker here because I'm going to be a homer as well. I think that the Bills are just playing phenomenal football right now.
Mm-hmm.
They're playing good team football, and I don't mean to say this to put Diggs down because I respect everything he's done when he was with the Bills. He did some amazing things. He might have been the leading receiver in the NFL over those 4 years. But there's just something different about that team that he's not there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And you can really tell everybody's playing a lot more loose. Allen doesn't have to worry about feeding anybody. He's going to whatever's open, wherever the play takes him. And it's just a different looking team right now. Joe Brady, I'll tell you what, he might only have 1 year as the OC here because I think he's going to be a hot head coaching candidate next year. So I'm going to take the Bills here, but yeah, I think it's going to be close, just like you said, Ben. But I'm going to go 23-20 Buffalo.
Okay. By the way, Joe Brady would be a good Jags candidate. Just throwing it out there too.
Yeah.
Aaron, what do you think?
I'm going to pick Buffalo 26-20. And the main reason that I don't know enough about both of these teams to sit there and break it down, but I will say Baltimore has disappointed me so far this year. Except when they went into to Dallas. I mean, with the exception of last week, and I wonder if part of that will be maybe there'll be a little bit of a letdown. I hope it's a good game. Let me just say, as a football fan, and especially being Sunday Night Football, being the only game on, I hope it's a good game. But Buffalo has really impressed me more than with the exception of their slow start, in the first game against Arizona, but then they turned it around. And I mean, even before Tua got injured, they were handling Miami. I mean, I really felt like, a lot of people might, if they didn't watch that game, would say, oh, Tua's injury really had an impact on the game.
Yeah, but he only got injured late in the third quarter.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I mean, I didn't really feel like they were even very much in the game at that point when he got injured, So, I kind of mentioned this earlier in the week to Troy. Were we talking about the last game they played when they ran over the Jaguars? I think they are actually a lot better than most people thought they would be, and I don't know why that is.
I think everybody saw the names that they lost.
Well, exactly.
And the names they lost, but also, I mean, they lost Diggs. Poyer didn't come back. Hyde didn't come back.
Yeah,
they lost Mitch Morse at center. I'm missing somebody. Gabe Davis went to Jacksonville.
Yeah.
I mean, just names like that, and everybody saw that, and they're like, well, what do they have left?
Exactly.
But what they did is they got cheaper and younger, and you guys as Packer fans know that sometimes that turnover isn't as big of a letdown as you think it might be.
Yeah.
Well,
Exactly.
you talked about before the show a little bit too. It's that fact that you guys like Shakir stepping up.
Yep.
You said a little bit ago, Allen can read the play and go the open guy versus worrying about who's getting the targets, and that's where people want to knock the Packers for not having a true number one. I just laugh at them. Yeah, Adam, I laugh at you, bud. But no, it's when you look at what can happen when you have an offense that can truly just play the game.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's where you start to see some really fun, good football. And that's
because what good does having a lockdown corner do at that point? Who's he locking down?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep. You're spot on. You neutralize a lot of those pieces, but also for us, there's years where Brett Favre was running for his life, or trying to, because we had no run game for a few years there. Aaron Rodgers had the same problem for a bit, and God bless him, Sam Con got out-tried, but we had some bad years there, and that's where you look at and see how much that effective running game and effectively having multiple options on the receivers. At one point, by the way, guys, Brett Favre did have Bill Schrader and basically nobody behind him. And he still put those numbers he put up.
Yep.
I mean, that's people forget that when we're talking about how. But anyway, I'll go for Packers. My bad.
Yeah, I think. I mean, with going back to the Bills here, though, I think 2 of their 3 weeks, which when they played Miami was a heavy run game. They went heavy run. I think Allen only had like 170 passing yards that game.
Yeah, awesome that one.
But against the Cardinals and now against the Jaguars last week when there was a little bit more passing involved, I think both of those games, there's been 10 different receivers in both of those games.
Yep.
I mean, that just shows you how much they're not worrying about feeding somebody. Who's open? Where's the play take me? Let's go get yards. Yep. That's it,
When you can go through the whole season, every month as a different leading receiver, it's a good feeling. It's a really good feeling. The first,
but anyway,
by the way, is trash.
Yeah. Okay. Can we talk about? Never mind. I'll save that for my 4 minutes.
That sounds good. Look, Miami beats Tennessee because their defense is better than Tennessee.
Yeah.
And
agreed.
It's going to be ugly and not. Sorry, it's been my watching.
Yep.
But
I agree.
Detroit hosts Seattle. Detroit is 3.5-point favorites. Over's 46.5, and this one's going to be fun. To me, this is a game that I might actually watch Monday Night Football again, and it's right up against Raw when it's on. So I might have 2 screens on, watching Raw and watching
I was going to say, what does it matter? You have don't you have 3 screens in your basement? Or is it
I
2?
I do. But there's a
Yeah.
big screen in the middle. Got to pick correctly.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, that's
So-
okay.
No, I mean, look, I'm not gonna lie. Raw will be in the center because I want to hear Raw. I don't care what hearing the announcements for this game, but I'll be watching. Lions Seahawks, man. Like, I think that Detroit gets this game. I think 3.5 points is appropriate. Call it 24-20. I'll take the over. Sorry, I think the under, I guess. But
What's the over again?
46.5.
Okay.
Just below that. Going at 44. But I mean, it could go 27-20, and I wouldn't be that shocked.
Yeah.
But I think this is another game in that zone. Goff is due to break out. Goff's had a terrible start to this season.
Yep.
I mean, Gibbs and Montgomery are getting theirs, but I mean, they're lucky to be 2-1. 1-score wins against the Rams and the Cardinals, 6 and 7 points respectively. Lost by 4 to the Buccaneers. This is just what you're going to see from the Lions. Are these 20-ish point games, knockout, drag out? But usually there's still a few games Goff's going to come out and break out, and I feel like this is the week it's going to happen. I think that he'll avoid Tariq Woolen at all costs and go the other direction if he has to, but I think this is Jameson Williams fans. This is a decent week to have him on your fantasy team because I think this is going to be a good game for him. Sam Laporta's going to wake up a little bit. So, yeah, I think this is I'll take Lions. I said 24-20. I'll take him for now.
Yeah, I'll take the Lions, and I don't know why. I think the Seahawks are overrated. I don't think they're as good as their – what are they? They're 3-0. Is that right? I think they are.
I can't think of a loss, so you probably did.
I'm pretty sure they're 3-0, and I don't think they're that good. I don't think they're that good. I think they come back down to reality this week, and I think the Lions handle them pretty easily, to be honest. I'm going to go 33-17.
And their wins, by the way, 26-20 against the Broncos, 23-20 against the Patriots, and 24-3 against the Tua Dolphins.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'm going to step away real quick. I'll be right back.
Yeah, and I think I'll say I agree with you. I think that Goff is due for a breakout game. I'll say 31-21 Lions.
Okay. Well, while you're going to try a few minutes here, we're going to hit our 4 minutes on high section here and kind of tail the show off here. So I'm going to lead us off with my hat and my Brewers. Take some time away from work next week to go down to watch the Brewers play Wednesday night. So I'll be missing the show next week, guys. Sorry, I'll miss you guys too. But looking forward to hopefully seeing the Brewers clinch that series. Hopefully against the Diamondbacks, getting some payback for last year, and then get ready to face the Phillies. And look, we've been doubted all year. This team doesn't seem to care. And the first time in Brewers history with Jackson Chourio and Bryce Terang both going 2020 in the same season. Jackson Chourio, the youngest player to ever go 2020. Just a lot of cool pieces here that play into what we're looking at with kind of funny. You're talking about having 6-7 stars you could use in a playoff rotation because they're all in that, call it 3.3 to 4.1 ERA as starters you can kind of play with. No, looking forward to the Brewers making some noise. Part of me is kind of hoping the Braves figure it out and slip in to play us so I can watch them play the Braves instead next week. But it's, go Brewers and baseball playoffs, baby. Here we go. Aaron, you're up.
All right. Well, I don't know if you guys talked about it a little bit earlier or not, but before I came on when you were talking about college football, but there was a story that I saw earlier today regarding, and I don't remember the player's name, but it was the UNLV quarterback who decided to, and Troy, hopefully I'm not stealing your thunder here.
No, you're not.
All right. For those that don't know what's going on, apparently he was given a verbal commitment of $100,000 in NIL money, and claims that he has not gotten it yet. And basically, and I didn't get a chance to read the article, but it sounds like left the team, I don't know, transferred or just quit.
He's redshirting apparently.
Oh, that's right. He's ready. Yeah, that's right. That's right. He still had time to redshirt or whatever. So
Matthew Sluka.
Yeah. So I guess the reason I wanted to use this as my 4 minutes on high. First of all, I really didn't have anything else to talk about, so that's one of the reasons that it just happened to come up. But one of the things, the NCAA never seems anything new that it wants to start or decides to do. Never seems to know what the hell they're doing when they do it. It's always just kind of like we're gonna do this, and we're not gonna plan anything at all, and we're just gonna start. And I was listening this morning on the way to work to the show I always listen to out of Milwaukee, and Brian Butch is one of the guys. For those that aren't from Wisconsin, Brian Butch played for the Badgers for 4 years, college basketball. Had somewhat of a pro career, mostly overseas, I believe, and now he does the color commentary for the Badgers. And one of his comments was, I remember Jay Billis coming on and saying that we need to start paying these players. And there was a 30 for 30 about the Fab Five, and they talked on that 30 for 30 about how much money Michigan was raking in. As these players aren't allowed to have jobs or anything else. They're not allowed to get money any other way. But then they go into the team store or the school store, and they see all these jerseys with their names on the back selling like hotcakes, and they can't have any. And there's total validity to that. And when they came up with the idea of NIL, I was in favor of it. I've always been in favor of letting these kids either have jobs, which I understood. I remember my dad teaching me years ago that the reason they changed the rule and wouldn't let them have jobs is because you'd have a Texas company giving some kid $100,000 for the summer to do nothing and saying he was working for them or whatever. So I get why they don't let them work. They need NIL. But the NCAA needs to wrap their heads around this and come up with a freaking plan, because this could turn into a real mess if it isn't already, And I think, Ben, you mentioned it when we were talking a little bit in the chat group, about some of the things that could come up, or maybe actually no, it may have been the show I was listening to that they started talking about. Okay, how long is it going to be before the Title IX sports try to get a piece of it, get involved, and then all these schools the players are going to want to unionize, and then they're going to need, you're going to be more employees of the school than actual students, and whatever. The NCAA needs to take a step back. I don't mean stop NIL, because you can't. You've already started this monster in motion, but they need to figure out, are you going to have contracts, or how organized are you really going to have this? Because, like I said, I see this being possibly the tip of the iceberg, because I guarantee you this is not the only kid who was supposed, and whether or not he was actually verbally, promised $100,000, if he was, they need to pay him. But more importantly, they need to start having this NIL be more organized and have contracts, have things in writing, so that these kids don't get screwed, and that these schools and the boosters and whoever runs the collectives at each school or whatever don't just start making these false promises to these kids. So, again, NIL is good in principle, but the NCAA really needs to wrap their heads around this and get it under control.
Sounds good. Troy, wrap us up, buddy. What do
Well,
you got?
I mean, I didn't know where I was going to go here, but then we started talking about the NFL slate and the Monday night games, and it just made me think how perturbed I am that we're putting these games on and starting them 45 minutes apart from each other, and they're run by the same company. Like, what are they doing? How do they expect people to watch both these games? Like, does anybody? I mean, and I'm asking this seriously because I don't know. Does anybody know why they do that? Is there some sort of agreement that they can't have too much time, or like what? I don't understand.
If I'm looking at though, you've got a chance to be on ABC. It's been historically on ESPN. So you have ESPN for one game, ABC for the other game right now. So you've got a chance to be on broadcast television. The other part I'm looking at with that, if I'm them, is people like myself are degenerate sports fans that have multiple screens in their home, and they will set up to have 2 games on. Everyone has a phone or a tablet or a computer, and they probably will watch both games, honestly. And that's what I think is the again, this is speculation. I can't confirm this is the actual why, but I mean, I look at my Saturdays alone for college football, and I probably go through in combination anywhere from 8 to 20 games any given Saturday that I'm watching in some capacity.
So wouldn't it be more beneficial? I guess I don't know the deal of everything. Why still? I mean, even if there are different times, why couldn't one of the games still be on ABC? Is what I don't understand. Like, why? They own that company, right?
You could, but you also have a prime time. So now you're looking at that early game being, what is it, 6:30, 6:15 Central.
I thought this past week it was 6:45 and then 7:30, wasn't it? Or 6:30 and 7:15.
Well, I think it was 7:30 my time and then 8:15. So whatever that is for you, 6:30 and 7:15.
So, an hour behind. Yeah.
So I mean, I think you're still talking about hitting prime time where you're getting that California commute on the early game, but you're also getting the later game hitting where people can actually get home and watch it. I mean, that's still 5 o'clock on the West Coast, 5:15.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm with you on this. Monday Night Football was special when we were kids because it was on ABC. Everyone got it. It was the only thing on. Nobody wanted to compete with it, right? And now the 2 games, if I'm hearing where you're going, it's just not as special. It just feels a little bit. It feels watered down, and I don't know. To be clear, I am with you. I don't like it. Give me one game on Monday night. But
give me one, or let me spread them apart a little bit. Like even if they overlap, like spread them apart a little bit so that you can watch the end of one game and not feel like you're missing out like on the important parts of the other game too. You know, like they're too. Like, it's really only a quarter away from each other, and you know how sometimes that goes depending on how quick one team plays a quarter versus another. Yeah. They very well can butt up into each other, and they're ending at the same time. Like it's, I don't understand. I don't understand what they're doing there. It has me lost. It has me totally lost. It's not like it's 2 different networks that are competing against each other. It's literally Disney competing against itself. Like,
well, to be fair, to make a fun, tongue-in-cheek political comment today, isn't everything just people competing against themselves, and it's all by one company and one world ruler, right?
Yeah. I guess.
But no, look, guys, it's been fun talking. You know, we got a little long here tonight, but good conversation. Looking forward to some fun football this weekend.
Sorry, Brad.
You know what, Brad? You'll watch a 3-hour football game. You can watch a 3-hour David Bacon. It's okay. Look, anyway, listen, guys, thank you very much, and we'll take this thing out. See ya.
You guys.